Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another Element event. Here we have the first qualifier of the Trios Cash Cup, and I am with my friend Timmy. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I am doing so great. I woke up this morning, took a big breath, and was like, oh, I'm ready for some Spellbreak action, and we got it coming in hot tonight, plays. I cannot wait to see these teams come through and maybe earn a little bit of cash in the way.
Yeah, we got a couple games. So there's two qualifiers leading to the third finals. And at the finals is where the $360 prize pool will be given out. In order to get there, these teams have to show up and perform today. And as you said, we got a stacked roster ahead of us. So just jumping right into it, I want to ask you who you have as a general favorite before we start game one.
Oh man, I see a lot of names on here that I recognize. Some teams that really have a lot of promise, but I gotta say I'm pretty narrowed in and got a close eye on Colt Levin. I see a lot of names in there. A former teammate of mine, Solar Bear, coming through, just knows how to survive, knows how to really do some stuff with that Frostborn class. And Flaming Dwagon, also aka CL Miba, a big contender I've seen in community, and also can't leave out Cozy. It's just a stacked team all the way through. I'm really interested to see what they have to offer. But I'm wondering, you're the OG. You've been around for a while. Who's on your mind? What do you expect play out today for us?
Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but after watching the recent trios we had a couple weeks ago, I got my eyes on G3 with Chaos NY, Megaverse, and Cam Sucks. And also, it is Cam Sucks' birthday today. I just saw that on Twitter before we got live. So shout out to him. Happy birthday. And maybe he can take home the birthday dub. I also want to give a massive shout out to Armansam, who donated $100 and made it possible to have this event with the prize pool. So shout out to him for bringing us that extra little bit of dough to get this tournament on the road. And speaking of on the road, we will be getting into game one soon. It has been a while since we've seen a trio event, a couple weeks, a couple balance changes have started to get themselves into the works. I'm excited to see what exactly is going to break down. I know that looking at the teams, we have a lot of different individual players who don't necessarily play the same style. Anything that you're looking for in particular in terms of maybe a different game style or just something you're expecting?
I've honestly I've been watching a lot of solo games, so I don't get to see a lot of the perspective from the trios and the squads. And I really am excited to see this tournament play out, see that kind of teamwork come together. But in solos, I've noticed a lot of Tempest play going on, or at least a lot of Wind Gauntlet coming into play, much more prevalent than the past month or so. And so I'm excited to see if maybe there's a slot for a Tempest to come through and maybe offer some CC, maybe offer a little bit of distraction for their teammates to come through and take advantage of, and maybe just come to the front more than we've seen it in the past, and see what these squads can do with these big brains. But do you have anything in mind? You see anything that might be popping out due to the changes and stuff recently, or anything that you're excited to see happen in this tournament?
Well, I love the point you bring up about CC. I mean, when you look at competitive games, especially trios, when players are able to layer their damage on concentrated targets, CC just makes a world of difference. I'm always looking for the conduit players in these trio events. I think conduit is such a central role to play in a trio team. You have to play very well to bring your team to success. So those are always some players I keep an eye on. I know Knack 3000's in here. He's got a nasty conduit. He's representing Team World Tier. We'll see what he can do. But I quickly want to go through the basic rules. I know many of you guys are veterans of watching our events. You know the basic setup, but it is 6 games. We're going down from 8 in the last tournament. We'll be playing 6 games total. Only 4 of those games count. And that means that 2 of your lowest scoring games go out the window. It's only your 4 highest score of 6 that stick. We got 3 games on NA and 3 games on EU. At halftime, we'll be switching servers, and we're starting with NA. That's just the basic rule set. As I explained, these are qualifiers building up to the tournament money finals. But yeah, Timmy, we're ready to go, man. We just got some action. Everything else is out of the way. I'm excited to see some Spellbreak. And as I said, it's been a while since we've seen some trios. You mentioned that you're a solos expertise. You know that role. You know that set. I wonder what you're going to think about these solo events, what you're going to see this type of coordination. Sorry, the trio events today.
Oh, I'm really excited. When I've had a chance to get a little bit of casting privately, whenever I started getting used to getting to this whole role of caster, I had a chance to practice a little bit and see some of the squads come through. And honestly, I've already been such a fan of the game. I've always loved the depth that the game offers when you get to a high level of skill, and you kind of like you almost uncover these techniques and stuff. You're like, wow, you can do that. But then when you see the squads come through and you get to see that level of coordination and you see them take it even further, it's like, wow, you really see, for me at least, I see the future of esports for this game. And it doesn't surprise me that Element's been around putting this stuff on for a long time, because this is what Spellbreak's all about. Seeing that kind of, level of skill, seeing that kind of understanding and depth in this game is really, really what I'm here for, at least. But I'm really excited mostly since we have 3 games on NA, 3 games on EU. I don't see a lot of players in the tournament tonight, or at least qualifier tonight, that's on EU, except for maybe G3, or no, I'm sorry, next to Lino. So I'm really anxious to see if that advantage is going to play out for them. Are they really going to take EU by just sweep and be able to take this whole qualifier? Or is it something that really doesn't matter? Interested in what you have to think.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, that trio that you just mentioned right there, the Borsellino next duo, and this time, so in the last trio tournament, it was those two plus Syncade to make up the trio, but now they've actually brought in Death SB instead of Syncade. So it is next Borsellino and Death SB. That is a threatening trio. And you were talking about the latency difference. I honestly think players like Borsellino and Next have played so much Spellbreak and so many of these events that they're just used to that difference. They're used to coming on NA, playing up a couple hundred ping, and just being able to still perform. But like you said, it's always up to the moment. We're going to see what happens. I'm getting word that we're dropping into game one, so we should be starting off shortly. And like we said, we are just pumped to get it going here. Early January, we got another trios tournament. Also, I want to remind you guys, there's also a solos tournament running concurrently with this event. So that'll be tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Different casters, different sort of rule set for the event, but same overall product. We are ready to go here, Timmy, and I'm pumped.
I'm ready. You guys, if you're excited for some not only January of Spellbreak, but a whole year of looking forward to see what happens with this game, with this community. And if you want to make sure that you're involved, keep up with all the events going on, please, !Discord in the chat. We'll give you the link that you need to make sure you're on top of the action and part of the best competitive community within Spellbreak, in my opinion, and the longest running. So get in there, meet some new players, and have some fun with Spellbreak. But here we go. We're dropping in as we see Colin come through, looking for a little bit of loot, but we're going to drop around to another squad that is in some action and going down quick as a squad that does fall in the blink of an eye. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Maybe the lightning sorcery. I think I spotted there in a second. It will go down very quickly as Roku tries to jump around and tries to get a little bit of a better perspective, but cannot get close enough to back up his teammates at all. It's going to be a lot of toxic slaps coming out as he tries to get away, but it's not going to be quick enough as G3 comes through, and that's going to be one of your squads play safe, one of your picks coming through, dominating this first interaction and really just showing you what teamwork looks like whenever you get swarmed by a squad that knows what's up.
Oh, when you watch this team of G3 play, even though they've brought in Cam Sucks instead of player 2 who played with them in the last event, their coordination, their target is just so good. They always switch so quickly onto the new target, playing off of CC. We saw right there at an early drop, if you don't have a belt and you get hit with a lightning strike against a good squad, it is pretty much over for you. And that is exactly what was exemplified by G3. And look at the name of Cam Sucks. Cam is 22. He's giving another homage to his birthday, which is today. So happy birthday, Cam Sucks. We'll see if he can translate that into some wins. Definitely a nice wipe to start us off here, though, Timmy.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of birthday luck, and that's a really good point. You get that CC coming out from that lightning strike early on, and you're going to be done for it unless you have some sort of backup or some sort of remedy to fix that issue, and most of the time you will not have that unless you're running Harmony, and we don't see that a lot on most classes unless they're running that Frostborn, but no Frostborns on this squad in particular, but we're going to see some action up in the kill feed as Southside Sandy comes in and takes out Zit's Been Real, and a little bit more action coming out from Nasty, and that squad's going to be throwing it down on the other side of the map as G3 does look for a little bit of loot, trying to get that early game, very, very important loot. You might be willing to get down and get in that aggressive action, and it will allow you for sometimes to get some snowball going on. But you really want to get those talents upgraded as soon as possible. Make sure you have consumables prepared, because whenever it gets down to the small circles, the nitty gritty, you need those resources to be able to throw it down and put up a good fight. So here we're going to go into Halcyon and see what happens with next Death SB and Borsellino play safe. Let me see what's going on here.
Yeah, they're definitely making a move here. I believe they're also kind of on a route set, just like G3. They're looking for a little bit more. I mean, Death SB is already quite looted. Borsellino has a little bit of armor that's been taken off here. Don't know if they're in a full engagement, but it looks like Nex is trying to take some shots from deep. Looking at their composition here, we got a Toxicologist, Conduit, Stone Shaper. A nice little trio, all three players playing towards their strengths. And Next is really just trying to peek over this corner. That's an ambitious shot, but if that lands, you can just push any angle. We see Borsellino playing that front line type of position, going right up to the side of the castle. Timmy, that's a risky spot for Borsellino, but he looks confident up there.
Yeah, and I think that we see this really good composition here in this squad that's going to allow them to keep their arms linked when they want to, but if they have to get up and close and personal, they have what they have in their toolkits. They have what they need to be able to face that issue as well, and we see that exactly coming out here as the Frost Lance comes out, tries to attack some people off of this tower, and now has secured the high ground advantage. It's going to be a perfect perspective see exactly what's going on down below and just pick exactly where they want to jump in and focus on. And we see exactly that as all three of them almost have pinpoint accuracy. All three characters in different positions, but all facing the exact same target. As you see the coordination in these squads really just be top tier. And I got to say, a lot of the, specifically this squad, we have some very experienced players that really know what they're doing in Spellbreak and really are going to show you guys some top tier coordination. And oh my goodness, Next pulls one back and lets it loose as a 72 to the dome is going to hurt a lot, as that player on top of the tower did have a little bit of high ground, but now has a bit of a headache as well. Going to be a little action coming back as the damage was dealt out by Next, and they're going to go ahead and try to retreat back to this high ground of their own. Make sure that if anybody wants to fight with them, they're going to have to spend some resources like rune charges, mana, or skills from their class to be able to climb this tower. And by the time they get up there, they're going to have three monsters facing them and staring them down, and they're really going to have to be clever if they're going to be able to do anything about it. But Frostland's coming out from Next. Let's see if they're going to be able to do anything here, Plays.
Yeah, I mean, he still looks confident, even though he did watch his team get pincered a bit. Next, after hitting that opening shot, just looking for all of these different angles. You see him actually opting for the low ground here, trying to hit that kill shot. Can't quite get it to go, but Death SB kills Funk Lord PhD. And that is a nice drop for Nexalino_SB. That is their team name. And we got Next taking even more shots. He is just not afraid of anything, sitting in this open-ish field, taking some shots off to the side. 31 people still left in this game, Timmy. So although we've been watching action all over the map, very few squad wipes have actually come through. Still 30 people sitting here as the circle gets closer. And I'm expecting a very chaotic final fight for game one of the qualifier. Excited to see what Next can work here as he goes for this assassination angle, looking for somebody who might be potting, but Next actually just spots two high ground players, hits the quick slap, but doesn't get much of a damage amplification as he runs back up for another take. Doesn't spot them out. It looks like they've pushed them off the high ground. Next now just taking over that position. Can't quite get it to go. And Timmy, it looks like Nexalino is actually in a little bit of trouble here as their teammates are so low. We see Death gets disrupted and Next is in a corner trying to make it work, Timmy. Can they pull it off?
Next is still here. He's still there. He's like, let me in, let me in. I see a fight going on. I want to get in there. I want to help my teammates, but he just cannot do it. He's been able to avoid all the damage coming out for himself, but unfortunately has not been able to deal much in terms of damage for his squad mates. Now finding himself in a very, very good position, though, as they are in the safe zone. They have eyes on the opponent squad, and they are in the storm. They're kind of gatekeeping this storm as much as they can, and it's going to be great. But oh no, Shockwave coming through the stone to the face, and Next is going to lose all that armor in a heartbeat, but about enough time and a little bit of a distraction for his opponents, his teammates to come through, get each other up and heal back up, and also get back to that full health and armor, and that's going to be exactly what you need. We see Funk Lord PhD falling in the feed, and I gotta say, some just really, really good teamwork coming out from this squad. They pinchered that first opponent, just trifecta focus, and now they're just here to back each other up while Next kind of tags in to allow Death and Force to reset and bring each other back to life. Now Next taking a little bit more damage than he wants to, a little bit too hurt for this fight right now. Going to be able to jump into that vanishing mist coming out from that toxicologist class, get a little bit of distance, a little bit of stealth, and be able to reset in time to come back into this fight and back up these teammates here. Some really, really good movement, really, really good positioning, and really, really good tagging in and exchanging of focus from these squads, man. Really, really nice. Coming into 24 people remaining, and it's going to be Nick Frostlands coming out from the storm, trying to get some action before he makes it in. And there's a lot to be had here. Play safe. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we always seem to see fights at this little castle structure, and these teams are used to it. We got Primo now, looking for a couple fireballs, gets one to stick with Ignite, but can't quite follow it up now. Posted up on the ground, trying to slam the ground, tries to go for the exile, but it actually gets finished through another kill. So Primo gets interrupted with his attempt to finish that one off. 21 people left now. Primo taking his spring step, throwing out a nice bit of burst, but he gets caught on the CC. Primo now just backing up, doing what he can with what he has, but it's going to be a tough angle. His team World Tier is trying their best to peel out of this fight. It's the same decision we saw come from Team Nexalino. All of these teams are trying to just find only opportune angles, but sometimes you just have to try to make it work. We see No Ways get low. Primo throwing out the boulders, gets one to stick, but this is going to be a hard position for World Tier. You have to imagine that the pincer formation is going to come down as multiple teams start sniffing out this fight. Timmy, I don't know if World Tier are going to have the chops to fight out of this spot. They might have to make a hard rotation, but even that is a difficult ask in this game state.
Oh, absolutely. They have a good position here in terms of a high ground and being able to focus down. But as the storm pushes in, they're really going to have a hard choice. Do we try to wrap around the long way, try to get in safely, or do we just push on through like the juggernauts we are and take this squad out in front of our way and make our path of our own? I think that's what we're going to try to see happening here, or maybe even the squad might get pinched or the opponent's getting pinched from maybe another squad coming out from the outside of Halcyon, maybe giving them a little bit of distraction so WT can wrap around. But we do see a little bit of that teamwork in the kill feed right before we got into this action, with Knack 3000 coming in with a little bit of backup, nice little lightning in the kill feed, and it shows you exactly what Knack's going to be able to do in this squad with that conduit on the backside, on the backfield there, and being able to throw down some nice CC when they need to. G3 coming through now, taking an exile on the Kappa in the kill feed. And now Halcyon, it looks like WT able to play this really, really smoothly. He didn't have to push through. Instead, they kind of just kept the pressure on their opponents and was allowed to wrap around here and get into a safe spot. But now we're going to jump over to the CL Cozy, Solar Bear, and Miba, aka Flaming Dragon, coming through. And this was a squad that I was really, really excited to see. No exiles on the scoreboard for Cozy yet, but it looks like they're trying to secure maybe their first few exiles on a squad that is definitely at an advantage in this particular fight. We see a lot of those toxic slaps coming out to throw down those puddles, try to deny some area. We know how important it is to have the high ground in this game. We know how important it is to have that ridge of the mountain. Not only do you have the high ground, but you have the perfect line of sight cover to be able to be defensive or take a countermeasure whenever you're getting pushed. And Cozy and the CL squad here definitely trying to deny that area, but it's not going to happen as that squad is standing true and strong. Now CL trying to wrap around and make themselves into the safe spot, but it's going to be real difficult to play safe. They're in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, but it seems like every squad at this point is almost in between a rock and a hard place. We have 15 teams, and the circle's 30 seconds from compressing once again. This is going to be tough for everybody involved. I want to go back and say shout out to World Tier for playing out of that position. They're now full HP, full armor. You see them here. They might have to take a fight. Noe somehow doesn't get hit by that frost snipe. He's crossing his stars for that one as he now tries to rotate out of this. We see in the kill feed, though, Timmy, G3 has been stuck up there all day. It looks like they have almost 11 or 12 kills between their teams so far. All I've been seeing is G3 moving that kill feed forward. That's a really great sign for them going into this. We see WT now making the full peel out of this. 15 people left in the game, and we are about to see a huge scrap on these cliff hangs. What do you think of this final circle position we're seeing develop with all of this vertical area?
I think it's going to be a really a fun time to see these squads kind of trying to set down their flags, claim a mountaintop, and decide where the place to be is and where to, kind of be the king of the castle type situation. But we're going to see a lot of action coming out as the circle gets a lot smaller. And here's the action that I'm talking about as G3, like you said, just dominating this lobby as they completely pepper that kill feed. Now going for some more action, but oh no, Megaverse, the one that was securing most of the exiles in the kill feed there, does go down, but his two squad mates are still alive and ready to fight as we see Chaos using that spring step to get back up to that high ground, get right into the face of his opponent and throw down some fire damage. We're going to see Chaos taking out Borsalino in the kill feed, and Cam is 22 with one onto that's death going down. And now Chaos jumping across, getting away from the storm, trying to use this frost lance to keep it a little good eye on this storm here. Going to be able to pop anybody trying to run in and try to heal up, and probably get a really easy cleanup with that large damage coming out from the frost lance. But also needs to take him to breathe. Going to have to try to heal up, trying to keep a good eye on Megaverse, potentially going to be able to bring him back, and that's exactly what Cam sucks. I'm sorry, Cam sucks. Happy birthday, Cam, coming through and bringing Megaverse back to life as he is now ready to fight and back his squad mode. 5 exiles down for Chaos and looking like maybe even more to come, plays.
Oh, certainly looks like there's more to come as he lines up the shot, drills it, breaks the armor on this frontside target. Can he finish with the kill? Doesn't quite get the follow-up. We'll see if Chaos can just keep pushing this forward. His teammates are a little bit on his backside. Whoa, look at the damage. Chaos is down to just 32 HP. It looks like he took shots from 2, and Solar Bear lands the kill. Now we see the rest of his team of G3 trying to push out of this position. Chaos is in orb form, giving us a nice perspective, but over to Megaverse now, who's in the center of the action. Doesn't quite get the stone slam. Looks for another angle here, looking at that fire gauntlet, but instead goes for the shockwave. Almost gets the kill, stuffs 2 fireballs. One will do it, but it's actually Knack 3000 who goes down to the storm. Megaverse manages to fight his own, but is going to have to peel off more and more players. 9 people left in the fight, 2 of which are down for G3 standing in orb. Megaverse is doing what he can. Looks like he got away for a second, but he's not going to get away for too long. That is Solar Bear chasing him down. Megaverse now bouncing around, but there's people everywhere, Timmy. This is a disaster for G3, who came in so strong at the start of the match, and it looks like they are going to fall. That is the end of the game, in fact. Colt Levin takes game 1 with a nice comeback. You talked about it, Timmy. You mentioned how they were a team to watch out for while we get into these games, how they play smart, and that was a great example right there.
Oh yeah, you definitely see a lot of trouble coming through from Solar Bear whenever he was able to catch Chaos there and kind of just pop him with a huge shot to completely demolish his bar armor. Went down to less than half health, and then in a blink of an eye, the Toxic came through and he was gone. At that point, I feel like the G3 squad was kind of razzled. They didn't really know what to do at that point. Chaos trying to probably try to get revived at all possible, but in a small circle with a lot of caged animals like that, it's going to be nearly impossible. I do got to say, shout out big time to Megaverse. Once he came back up and we got to see him do his thing for a second, there was a few times during that last little engagement where he was behind enemies and they had no idea he's there. Just really, really beautiful positioning, able to be aware of what's going on in all the chaos and put yourself in an advantageous position to really try to shine there. In the end, he did fall to the pressure coming in from Solar Bear and the rest of that squad. But really, shout out to G3 and also shout out to Colt Levin for coming through and taking that dub in that first round. Really exciting stuff, plays. Oof.
Yeah, and something I want to mention, I mean, you guys who've been watching a lot of our events know just how much damage matters. So although Colt Levin did win first place, they get the placement bonus for that. G3 was wiping Exiles with damage on top of every play. That should put them in a great spot coming out of game one, even though they didn't quite get that first place finish. The damage in Exiles makes a huge difference. If anybody wants to check the scores as these games go on, please hit exclamation mark scores in the chat. You will get a link to Discord, and that is where you put the exclamation mark scores. We have a new system we're working on to put the scores up. So join the Element Discord, check where your favorite players are ending up. But anyway, shout out to Colt Levin for taking that first game pretty convincingly, I must say, as well.
Oh yeah, very very well played. In the end, they played to win and they won, and that's what they sought out to do. Very very good play. Solar Bear, somebody that always comes in these rounds and really just pops off with his survivability and his ability to kind of just get away from the action and do some big safe damage that really just turns the tides, especially in a squad match like this. But Megaverse also really like we said at one point the entire kill feed was just completely full of Megaverse and the G3, and I gotta say G3 really just doing a great job of backing each other up. And Megaverse known for that Stone Shaper, but also I don't think people really realize how good he is with the Fire Gauntlet, whether or not he's playing Stone Shaper or Pyromancer without or with Combust. He hits those fireballs every time, and when you can poke for your squad with Shockwave for 40 plus damage, you can throw AoE boulders for your squad, and you can back yourself up whenever things get hairy and people get close with those fireballs to the face. You're going to be a really strong adversary, and we see pretty much everybody in the whole lobby just learned that about Megaverse. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens in
for
the next.
sure. Yeah, I mean, we see it right there. I think with the Stone Shapers in competitive, to put yourself up there as a top Stone Shaper, you have to be able to play with your offhand gauntlet as well. Megaverse is a great example of that. We want to give a shout out as well to Cozy and Meba, the other members of Colt Levin, who played a fantastic round right there. Meba, for anybody who doesn't know, is Flaming Dragon, a quick little name change, but still the same deadly player. And we see CL with a nice W right there. Again, though, check the scores because it still should be G3 coming out in first in terms of overall score. That's something that you should always be keeping in mind during these games. It's not all placement. There's all sorts of little factors playing into it. But we'll see what comes out with the rest of these matches, man. I think Nexalino_SB also had a solid round. They did go down, get pinched a little bit off the side of that cliff wall, but what can you do? We'll see what they can come back with in game two.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited to see some of these other names. I think we saw Palpu Promise with Kyrie, Caitlin, and Calculated making it pretty far there in that lobby. It didn't do a lot in terms of exiles and damage, but definitely played smart, played well with positioning, and made themselves to that final circle where they could potentially pop off and maybe take the dub. I want to see more coming out from them. And there's some other players and other squads that I'm really excited to see. I think NAC 3000 and the World Tier squad really started to show off there toward the end. Like you said, that really great repositioning and able to get out of that engagement in the Halcyon and make their way in was just an example, a prime example of how squads can work together, be smart, and figure out a way out of tough situations. And I think we're going to see a lot of that coming out from World Tier. Will it translate to victory? I think that remains to be seen, but I'm excited to see how all these lobbies play out and see how these squads continue to go on, especially with NAC 3000's little bit of lightning. Man, he's scary with that lightning, bro. It's scary.
Yeah. He is a threat out there for sure. I mean, almost all of these players, when you look down the list, though, everybody is a threat. I know you do a lot of solos work, and all of these players, if I met them in a solo, I would not be too happy about it. But when they come together in the trio, like you said, with the team coordination, I just love picturing these players communicating mid game. We're watching it from a caster's perspective, but you can almost imagine the calls that they're making. You can almost picture these types of quick decisions that they're making to win the game, to make a rotation like WT did in a split second. That is why I love trios, love competitive Spellbreak, and I'm pumped for game 2. Once again, though, for anybody who's just joining us, we are doing 6 games total instead of 8. In the previous trios tournament, we did 8, and due to community feedback, we've moved it down to 6. That'll be 3 games on NA and 3 games on EU. Looking forward to game 2 coming up soon, Timmy. Anything else you want to talk about from what we saw or what you think might we see in the future games?
I think that there's, mentioning the 6 games, I think it's pretty nice. We got the 4 out of 6 going up, and we got some teams in here that might not have particularly performed super well, but may have placed pretty decently there. And I'm hoping to see them come through and kind of step up and maybe be able to shake off the rust, maybe shake off, maybe warm it up a little bit and get into here and kind of show us that yeah, there's some other teams that's really maybe newer players into the squad, into the community, that are going to step up and maybe even show us some new kind of builds, maybe new kind of compositions that will come through. And I think that's one of the most exciting things right now. Spellbreak's growing. There's a lot of new players. A lot of people come through and they see the game and they're like, wow, I want to see this in esports. I want to see competitive Spellbreak. They find Element, and then they find out how incredible, like satisfying it is to see players play at that top level and then get involved with the community. Exclamation point Discord, by the way, you guys, uh, and join up and get involved in these events and just push the game in places that we might not have expected to see it go. So that's what I'm excited to see. But it looks like we're about to hop down into this game, into this match, and get some more action plays. I'm ready to see it play out. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. And one thing I want to talk about that you just brought up is the new players joining the competitive scene. It's one of my favorite things about Element. When I look at the scrim list, I look at the people who are showing up to scrims week after week, and the next thing you know, they're at a competitive event clapping a lobby. That is my favorite thing, is seeing the player development from a first-hand perspective. And
Yep.
we are right into game 2, Timmy. I could not be more excited to see what we got. We start off with the perspective from Fluffin' Nudes. I believe the team that they are representing, looking down the board here, trying to find a spot. It is FPS, and that is the initials of everybody on the team, which is Sleeper, Pandemonium, and Fluffin' Nudes. And Pandemonium is actually a player who relates to that scrim mentality. They showed up week after week, got better, and now they're here ready to perform. Can't wait to see what FPS has got in store for us.
Oh, definitely excited to see all these players come through, and Insomniac Panda definitely showing up and giving you guys a good taste of what it means to come through and join the community, be part of the scrims, be part of the tournaments, and see what kind of progress you make, and just see how much you can get into the game. But here we go. Speaking of getting into the game, we got Friggin' D North trying to survive as he does get frozen into place for just a second, but does remain on top of this hill, going to be able to use his high ground perspective to try to line up a Frost Lance, and that's going to be one coming through big time as Wrecked does live up to the name and falls to the Frost Lance. Looks like the rest of the squad here on Fridge's North team is going to be ready to stay alive. Got a little bit low, got a little bit hairy, but it looks like they backed each other up pretty well there and managed to take the dub on that first little engagement. Now going to be able to scoop up this loot, kind of just devour this mana vault, split it up accordingly, and really snowball off these first little engagements. That's one thing that you have to consider, I think, as well, whenever you choose your class, whether it be solos, whether it be trios. What kind of classes? Where's my strength? Where does my class perform well in? Do I really match well with first early game engagements? Maybe I should drop hot. Maybe I should use this to snowball and grab some loot off of somebody I can take advantage of with my stronger build. And we might see some of that coming early on here, but Frigid North running that Frostborn, definitely not going to be the strongest classes to drop down and be hot, but you know what, he made it work, and I think it was big due to the squad mates backing him up and letting him get into that advantageous position. But we'll see what's going on. 35 players remain in the HoloLens as we jump around and see G3 coming through on that kill feed plays.
Yeah, it looks like they're creeping up for another 15 bomb. I'm getting word that they dropped about 14 exiles in game 1, so we'll see if they can follow that up with another performance here. It looks like they're starting off as Cam takes down Jesus Loves My, not going to finish that one. Borsellino and the rest of his team now moving through Fort Halcyon. Borsellino already has that spring step on Blue Rarity. We know from watching him in the past that Borsa looks for that spring step on Stone Shaper, especially in the mid game. We'll see what he can do with that, but I'm sure he's happy with the loot table that he's looking at.
Oh yeah, definitely. Spring step going to be a very, very good important thing for a lot of stone shapers and even pyromancers. It's going to be one of those runes that puts you in the perfect position to rain down damage and really take your opponent by surprise, especially if you use that bedrock with that stone shaper to cancel that upward momentum halfway through. Going to be some big brain plays. Speaking of big brain plays, before I can even finish my sentence, G3 coming through as well. We said 14 last time. Can they top 14 exiles this time? It looks like they're definitely going to break their own record as Megaverse pops off in that kill feed. And we see 3 out of 3. That's 1, 2, 3 fall into the hands of the Stone Shaper himself. Megaverse coming through. And it looks like G3 is not only, starting off strong, they're getting a really, really nice snowball effect. We see 3 legendaries, 2 epics on their loot already. Some really, really nice gauntlets and runes already. The shadow step here on Cam with the toxicologist, pretty much ideal. And we're going to see him go face to face with another squad. And it looks like they have the loot to back it up. But oh man, Cam getting a little bit too close for comfort as he gets slapped a few times. And that's going to be all the armor gone down now to less than 60 HP, trying to use this little bit of a stealthiness that you get from this toxicologist class, try to reposition pretty effectively, get back here with Chaos. Chaos is going to back him up with a little bit of flash freeze, give him a little bit of that defensive AoE area. But it looks like, oh man, the boulder coming in from long range is actually going to connect as Cam has to find some kind of sanctuary, some kind of cover. Lightning coming out from behind as Cam does try to get a little bit of Kool-Aid drunk up, gets it off. Armor's coming back now, jumps overhead to try to slap the toxicologist slap out and potentially maybe give enough damage and pressure to keep his opponent at bay. But now it's just not going to happen as the lightning does come from above and the rest of the armor is gone. Less than 20 HP as Cam Sunks uses that beautiful, beautiful vanishing mist display as he just clouds over and over to be able to take his opponent off guard and completely just bamboozle him with his movement. Now being able to jump down below this structure, he's going to find a nice little place to heal up and prepare himself to come back into this fight place. He's going to be able to help, I hope.
Yeah, definitely a great job using line of sight from Cam Sucks, trying to make sure he's always breaking off, making sure his back is covered so he can look to pot. And now you see him going for a bit of a run. Maybe his teammates will follow him. Looks like they are making the call to peel out of this one. But in the kill feed, we see Borsellino going down to World Tier Primo. That's pretty big if we don't see any return kills. If Borsellino gets exiled here, Nexalino will be playing down a player. And as we see, G3 is already off to a decent snowball start in game 2. This could be quite a start for G3, in these games. It can really have that snowball effect. If you have 2 great games, you have 2 games to throw away as well. You can just start making these insane rotations, and these players are talented enough to benefit from such crazy fights. Now we look at CL, the winners of game 1 by placement. Solar Bear in that top position with that Frostborn, so good at hitting those shots, but can't quite get any of these to fall. Looking got that highlight, doesn't quite get that tick to sit, and now the rest of his teammates is sitting on the lower ground. They might have to peel out of this one, as Fort Halcyon always results in massive fights. You don't necessarily want to be caught in the middle, Timmy.
Absolutely. This is the kind of situation where even if you're the most skilled player in the world, even if your squad's really coordinated, you can kind of get just jumped on by some random variables, and that is not what you're looking for at all. Solar Bear trying to get in a little bit closer to back his teammates up as they do fall quite low. Now using that TP pretty effectively to get back up on the high ground and throw out some Frost Lances. Not going to be able to land anything, but at least putting out some pressure and maybe giving his teammates a little bit of cover while they kind of drop back here. We see Cozy using this structure here to heal up, and now the entire CL squad back to full health pretty quickly there as they reset, and you just see them completely mobilize as Solar Bear comes through with that alacrity trail and just says, hey, I'm here, let's go, you guys are healed up, let's push this fight. And now we're jumping over to the top of the hill where this fight was going right in front of CL, and it looks like it's going to be WT going face to face with another squad, and they got to be really careful as CL is lurking right outside. He's going to be coming in for that third party. Fireball to the back is going to bring that opponent very, very low. Tries to connect with a spring step and another fireball, but it's not going to happen. Does not feel safe enough for going in any further as there are squads here, there, and everywhere. Oh my goodness. Looks like Primo is going to be jumping back to try to back up Pack 3000, but not going to be able to back both squads up, both teammates up, as they are kind of spread out here and multiple opponents and squads coming through. Trying to get back up to this high ground advantage. Primo's going to try to use that spring step effectively, throw down some shockwaves. You're really going to see some Stone Shaper shockwaves really benefit from having that high ground advantage and really land on people whenever they're just trying to jump away. Even if they try to jump, a lot of times with that kind of advantage from the high ground, you'll even connect. So Solar Bear getting tagged a little bit, trying to throw out some Frost Lances, but it looks like CL is really just trying to jostle for position at this point. place.
Yeah, we saw WT get stuck in a situation like this in game one. They managed to fight out of it, but can they do it back to back games? Can WT get out of the middle of these cliffs in the middle of so much pressure? CL is so comfortable to just relax, and we are back to WT to see their survival effort. They do get the res, that's huge. Now they can make this decision to rotate. Knack 3000 is doing what they can with damage on the high ground. Primo looks like he's begging his team to rotate around this hill as they need to revitalize themselves. The kill feed is just full of G3 all day, and this team needs to set themselves up to make a run at the standings. G3 is having such a great tournament so far, and we're only in game 2, Timmy.
Wow. They definitely seem to be the ones to beat and definitely running through this lobby with just optimal skill, optimal teamwork. And I gotta say, speaking of optimal teamwork, that was just the thing of beauty as Knack 3000 kind of stood up, took all the focus from for his teammates while Primo was able to come through and actually revive No Ace there. Really great display of teamwork there. And let's go see if it pays off and gets them into where they can maybe just stand toe to toe against this G3 squad. But it looks like we're gonna hop on over to some action going on. It's gonna be Fluff and News, Sleeper, and that FPS squad, Insomniac, Panic, the Panda, that's going to be going pretty hard here as the health bar does go down low. Armor completely gone for Insomniac, Panda, now the remaining health, and it looks like Fluff and Nudes is going to fall in the blink of an eye as G3 is just on a rampage right now. I just feel like if there was a Halo announcer in the background, Kill-tacular, Kilimanjaro. I don't know if anyone can stop right now. We see Chaos jumping around like a bunny rabbit on top of this hill, 3 exiles down, and I don't know if anybody can do anything. Plays what can be done here?
I'm not sure, man. They got to get some sort of coordinated attack, maybe a hard third party or something like that. But it's so interesting because we watched that fight from the angle of Sleeper. We got a first-person perspective of what it looks like to get rolled up on by G3, and it is not pretty. We are now watching Braden the Bagel representing Team Nasty. He's the only one left on his team trying to do what he can with this stone combination wind offhand, but he goes down. That is Team WT picking up a nice squad wipe. The credit for that final kill will go to Knack 3000, but the whole team put in work in that engagement. Now we're watching CL Miba, also known as Flaming Dragon, coming through on the Tempest, throwing out that fire offhand, trying to do what they can to lay out some damage. Looks like they made their opponents back off, and look at that. Miba stops the boulder in its tracks with the wind spam. Great little mechanic right there coming out from Miba, and we see the rest of the CL team looking to rotate now. To me, do you think this is the right choice?
I don't know. They're definitely going to be taking the direct approach. They want to get to this high ground. They definitely know how strong it can be to have that advantage. But at this point in the game, you really have to consider, is it worth taking the spotlight? Everyone is going to be looking here. Everybody's going to be trying to vie for this position. And is it the right call? I'm not sure. But it looks like if they can do it effectively and successfully without falling or losing a squad mate, then it might be the right decision. But they are definitely going to have to deal with the storm pushing in. But I think from this position, they're still going to have the advantage to be able to throw out some damage, throw out some pressure, and kind of push these squad mates that are already in an engagement into the safe zone and kind of catch them with their pants down a little bit with no armor on, trying to heal up. And CL, although it was a little bit of a sticky situation to take that high ground like they just did, I think it was the right move, seeing as how these other squads were already in an engagement and kind of at a disadvantage going toe-to-toe here. But we see Primo, and I got to say, Primo coming through, taking out Next. I think we saw Borsalino fall earlier, so it might just be Next and Death remaining for that next Lino squad. And we see Next going down there from Primo. Cam also falling. That's going to be one of G3. And WT is popping off. I thought they've been playing really well this entire lobby. Are they going to be able to come through and take a squad down? I'm not sure, but Chaos going down early is definitely a huge takedown, and that's going to be Cam as well. Oh, man.
Yeah, it looks like G3 just gets on the backside of that fight. They will fall, but we're still watching Knack 3000 trying to pepper damage from deep, throwing out those lightning bolts. You see a couple connect. They have to try to find an angle to pick up Primo, who is currently down. They're still protecting the body. They haven't been pushed off the position, so the chance is there to res, and now you see Knack 3000 go for it. No interruption should come here. They're back off far enough. Kyrie Caitlyn falls to Cozy's ice snipe, and now we see Knack 3000, though, getting on the back end, taking a bunch of damage, and Primo will fall again. So all of these sacrifices that Knack 3000 made are just for nothing. His teammate is back on the ground, and Miba will get credited with the drop. 9 players left in the game. You have to imagine that's 3 teams of 3 or maybe 4 teams with a small odd number in there. But we see the rest of this. Looks like Primo will get the res. Knack 3000 makes the move for it. Smart from him to just make that clutch call, but his teammate is in trouble as well, Timmy. No Ace is not healthy on the far side, and we're watching CL again in position to win back-to-back matches now.
Wow, wow, wow. CL coming through and really, really just positioning themselves in a great, great position. Already in the safe zone, has the high ground, knows where everybody's at. And that's going to be a Frost Lance coming out from Solar Bear that's going to be able to connect and back up his teammates a little bit. Death SB going down. And we see the 4 out of the 5 kills in the kill feed belonging to that WT team. But oh, I'm sorry, that's going to be WT going down out of the game. CL still in the mix as 2 people remain in this lobby. And it looks like CL's putting the pressure on the last three members of G3, and they just cannot survive as the Frost Lance, the Toxic Clouds, and all that damage comes out, and there's just nowhere to go except for into the next lobby. Really, really great play from CL. I'm impressed, man.
You got to be impressed right there. That's back-to-back first place finishes for Colt Levin. But this is almost like a pattern we've seen now for 2 games. CL gets the first placement. They played fantastic. All credit to them. But G3 still ends up with an astronomical score. They got so many exiles, so much damage. And you have to imagine if this was their game plan going in, just go for the entire fight. They think that they can take any single scrap that they so choose. And G3 with some really great damage score. But the attention should be on CL for winning that game. Like you said, coordination looked excellent right there.
Oh yeah, I think that if you're going in to look to really learn, things from squads and going into a squad mentality and learning to try to learn how to play as a squad in Spellbreak really, really well, you're going to take a look at Colt Levin, and a lot of these other squads do it really, really well. Especially shout out to was the world tier. World tier WT has really caught my attention as well. CL also G3 coming through and showing you guys some really, really good squad and teamwork. But I gotta say, when I look at G3, they have that squad mentality where they can work together, but I'm not sure if they even rely on it. At this point, it just feels like they just run through. They're just like big brutes that just want to fight everything. They don't really care about strategy. And maybe that is a strategy. Like you said, they're coming through, they're dropping bodies in every lobby. They're putting up a lot of score, a lot of damage, a lot of exiles, and that counts as well. I mean, they know how to back each other up when they need to back each other up, but they stand confidently on their own skills. And when they go to toe to toe, sometimes we have Megaverse, we have people come through, Chaos, even Campsite come through and take out a whole squad by themselves. Is that enough to win? I'm not sure, but it's definitely fun to watch plays. I don't know.
That is a great point. It is definitely fun to watch. You love to have a team like G3 in these competitive events as a caster. Anytime we need to get some action, Timmy, press spacebar until you find G3 because it seems like they're always in a fight. But credit to every team for that game. It was an intense matchup from the start. You talked about Team WT. They ended up, although G3 gets the second place finish because Chaos was the last one to die, WT was still the team that was really threatening to take CL out of that first place finish. That is a really great spot for them to be in, a really great confidence booster as the rest of these games start to develop. Remember, we still have 4 matches left on the day. This is the 3rd game coming up. Then we will take a halftime break and be back at it with the last 3 games on EU. If you guys want to check out the scores or join the Element Discord community, please press !Discord or !Scores. Follow the link and then press !Scores anywhere in the Discord. It'll give you an automated link letting you know what the updates are on these games. But that being said, we got one more to go before halftime, Timmy, and I want to see if CL can win all 3 on NA. That would just be a fantastic push for them.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if they can come through and just make it work for them once again. We definitely got some big names, some really, really talented squads come through. I'm also really interested to see what happens with the second half coming through on EU. We got next to Lino, like we mentioned earlier, that does have a couple of native EU players. So we'll see if it's able to pop off. But like you mentioned before we went live, that we got some of these teammates, some of these players that come through that's been playing for so long that even at like almost 150, 200 ping, they can still perform somehow. It's like a sixth sense they've developed these, and it's just so fun to see that happen and pop off. So we'll see if the EU is going to be any kind of big advantage for that G3 or for that next Leno squad. Definitely some great players, and I want to see them step up and show us exactly what they can do as they are. I remember a little bit of a personal information back when I first started playing Spellbreak. I got killed by death and I fanboyed. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe death killed me. So definitely some players that's been around in the game, in the community for a long time, and definitely players that have a lot to show you guys that hopefully get to step up and really get to show you guys what Spellbreak's all about when you know what's going on. But it's going to be exciting moving in. Can CL take another round? And you know what? Play safe. This is my first squad qualifier that I'm getting cast in. I get to see a lot of the squad, and it just warms my heart. Every time we jumped over to world tier, they were just there, like holding hands to back each other up, and like even at the point there, I can't remember. I think Knack 3000 or Primo was trying to res his teammate in the storm, and it was getting really, really small, and it was going to cost him resources. And I was thinking, is it worth it? But then, it's worth it if you can bring your whole squad in and you can take care of them. If you can all face that last, challenge together and back each other up, I think most of the time the value is there. So really, really big shout out to these teams for coming in and backing each other up and showing you guys how important it is to keep your squads alive. No man left behind, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anybody in here who's played a bunch of Spellbreak, you guys know how important it is to have all three members up. Getting a 5-second res, which is a long time to be defenseless, but if you were able to stick that res, you suddenly have a teammate up with 40 HP. If they have thirsty or any sort of resources, they can quickly bounce back up to full HP. It is almost always worth it to look for the res angle before you give up. We saw WT doing that multiple times to some great success. We are dropping in for game 3, and I also just quickly want to correct something. I've seen it a lot in chat so far. This is the qualifier number 1. Next week is qualifier number 2, and the week after that is finals. I've seen a lot of people in here asking where UT is, where their favorite team is. They are likely playing in next week's qualifier. We separated it so every team gets a chance to play. The 10 teams playing this week will likely not be playing next week. It'll be a new set, so just be patient. Wait for your favorite guys to come out next week, and we'll see what we got in store. This is qualifier number 1, just to clarify one more time. Game 3 coming up.
Oh, yeah. And if you are here and you're expecting some teammates or some squads that you might not see, or maybe just check it out. Maybe you'll see some new squads that coming through, new players like we were talking about earlier. We've got a lot of new players in the community. Spellbreak community is growing a lot, and even beyond that, I'm super excited to see some of our console community members come through and play the game. It's so cool to see these players come through, and you see people on the sticks and they're playing toxicologist with this hyper movement, and they're doing all these crazy things, and it's just so awesome to see more of the community come together and push this amazing game further beyond what we've seen so far, because that's what Element's all about. But we're going to look in the kill feed, and already, oh my goodness, we see CL and G3 popping off. Early engagements definitely looking really, really good for G3 and CL. CL winning those first two lobbies, looking to win up, maybe wipe the whole NA region, take this third round. But it looks like they're definitely going to be throwing down a little bit of lightning sorcery as Cozy's able to back up his squad mates and take this last little exile onto this squad of Leonist, It's Jared, and Mr. Mini Green. 32 gamers remain, and it's getting spicy in here, plays.
Yeah, that's 3 games in a row now, Timmy, that we've started off the cast with look at G3 in the kill feed. It seems just like a copy-paste result in these matches. G3 has been so aggressive. You brought it up after the second game there. They are just always looking to fight, and that is such a great strategy to have, especially when you're confident in what your team can do. And that's not to say about these other teams. Every team here seems confident that they can win. That's what I love about competitive Spellbreak. There's always a chance to pull off a miracle. There's always a chance to make a push and win the game. And we see Fluff and Nudes TV getting some kills in the kill feed. Good to see that right there, as 31 players remain, and CL seems to have this whole spot to themselves.
But yeah, I think that when we watch CL, we watch WT, we watch G3, all great squads, all great players, and we see a little bit of diversion in strategy. It's kind of what you have to always weigh in your mind as a competitive player or competitive squad. Is it worth to be aggressive, or should we play a bit more passive, a little bit safer until we need to? And a lot of times with games like Battle Royale modes, you see that aggression early on is going to be able to let you snowball, like I said earlier. And basically, if you start getting to this mentality where you're confident enough to take every fight, you start seeing other players not as opponents but as loot mules, man. They're bringing their loot to you, and I think that's a little bit of what G3 is hoping to do here: gather up that loot early on and take it into the final circle and look really strong and prepared for these fights. But in the kill feed, we see Fluff and News looking pretty strong, and Insomniac Panda going to be able to come through and back them up a little bit, as that FPS squad does get a couple of exiles. A full squad wipe in the kill feed, and showing us a little bit of action that we haven't seen a little bit before.
Yeah, definitely love to see that. Want to give a quick shout out to Enlighten for the huge gifted subs. Thank you so much, my friend. That is so much appreciated. Remember that 70% of all proceeds go towards prize pools, and that is what contributes to events like the one you guys are watching right now. So thank you again, Enlighten, for that. for that charitable set of gifted subs. And now we're watching more scraps, though. G3 Megaverse looking forward here. His team is a little bit on the back end, doesn't want to engage completely, just looking for a cheeky little bit of damage. And you love to see that right there. At all times, G3 is always thinking of how can I maximize my score? How can I maximize the time that I'm spending on the map? And it's really great to see those types of strategies come through here.
That's exactly right. They know that to put out the damage when they can see it. Put as much damage out as you can. Don't put yourself in that vulnerable position where you're kind of surrounded by on all sides and you can't get out. And they kind of they have a perfect setup to be able to do that with those long range talking slaps, the shockwaves from Megaverse, and even some good mid range, long range fireballs coming up from Chaos. But it looks like they have poked the beehive a little bit too much, and the bees have come out to fight. The squad's going to be jumping down from the top of that tower, and it looks like they're going to be fighting it out. But Megaverse on top of this opponent as the spring step does give that above head position to throw down an easy boulder. Going to be able to slam the ground real quick with that bedrock, and that's going to be a shockwave that connects. Now a point blank in air, he hit that person with his cloud, and it connected. Beautiful. Does have to stop for just a second, able to breathe right behind this rock here. It's kind of interesting to see, or kind of impressive to see, when you see a player that's got so much experience that knows when they can just sit there for just a second, get a quick shard off, and get right back into the action. And that's what you see coming in from Megaverse. Also utilizing that thirsty talent very well. Going to allow him to drink his potions and his consumables up even quicker, and that just allows him to reset, get back into the action very fast so he can back his squad mates up when he needs to. Going to be able to come on in, throw down some action as he does get met with a big DF to the face, and that's going to be all the armor gone as the spring step is employed to try to get a little bit of, retreating going on, a little bit of sanctuary, and it looks like Cam is going down. Don't do that to Cam. It's his birthday, man. What are you doing? All right, Megaverse going behind this rock, trying to make sure he keeps Cam nice and safe. Looks for the exile. Going to be able to pop out with a little bit of a shockwave and put the damage, the pressure out on these opposing players coming in, and it looks like he is definitely on the ropes here as Chaos is very low, and also the lightning and the fire and the tornadoes are coming out from his opponents, trying to use that CC to their advantage to keep Megaverse in place. But it looks like if you push him too hard, he's going to push back, and oh my goodness, a shockwave coming out from Megaverse. He goes backwards with the spring step, and it looks like a boulder coming out from nowhere is going to connect onto maybe Insomniac Panda there. I'm not sure what just happened, but a lot of crazy stuff plays.
Yeah, for sure. And this is exactly what you were talking about after game 2. Megaverse does not leave his teammate's body. He makes sure that he's staying with Cam Sucks. He needs to get that res to have a shot at this first place, or at least that seems to be the mentality. Chaos does go down, unfortunately, so it looks like Megaverse is going to have to try to make another heroic res. It's just him and Cam Sucks rotating into this circle. 21 players remain, and it looks like the matches have started to move a little bit faster. Game 1, 2 to 3, the pace of the game is picking up slowly but surely, and WT seems to be one of the teams leading the charge with that aggression. No Ace does finish the exile onto Chaos. Officially, G3 is stuck with only 2 players to try to take this game. Remember as well that CL has won the first 2 back-to-back games, and G3's chances of breaking that streak just went down dramatically.
Oh, definitely. I think this is a kind of a mirror of the last lobby as well. I think that we lost an early member of G3 early on in that last lobby, and was left with 2. And I think it's a little bit of a tale of that aggressive play coming out. All 3 players, like I said, feel very confident and are able to go toe-to-toe with even a full squad. But sometimes when you feel that way, you can be split and a little bit, disoriented from your other squad mates, and we see that happen as Chaos does go down and gets pinched off a little bit from WT. But it looks like Frigid North, the last squad mate alive for that team, is trying to find a little bit of safety as he does go up in the air. Going to be able to use that Frostborn ability from that class to be able to hang in the air for a little while, give himself a little bit of a perch, and maybe line up a nice little Frost lance, but he cannot make it happen as that opponent does get out of the way pretty quickly with that Ruin Charge. Going to be getting tagged by that lightning sorcery coming through, but able to stay alive and actually not taking much damage as I would expect there. He was kind of in the middle of 3 enemies, and for a while he was even stunned, but still able to stay alive for quite a bit. Jumps up and tries to make it happen with the Frost Lance. Can't make it connect as he does finally pay the price and go down to the fireball coming out from No Ace. It's going to be WT all looking real healthy and ready to throw down in this Halcyon area. And now they're kind of just jostling for position. Not really in the safe zone yet, but definitely on their way in. And I'm not sure if I like them here or not play safe. This feels like they're kind of pinched. How are they going to get out of this?
Yeah, it's a little bit tough, and this is something to notice for the viewers. This is 3 games in a row that WT has ended up in spots where they're being pinched. They've been able, just due to mechanics like that, to play out of these situations, but you have to think, how is this always happening? How are they always ended up being pinched like this? They're going to have to play out of it once again with 15 players left. WT still looks convincing as they just try to fight out of this house. Whenever I see a Pyro player with a 3-stack focused mana, you know you have to be careful. That is so much damage that No Ace is holding on to, hits a 66 over the stairs, and now No Ace is going to go for the flank. His teammates are holding up pressure on the left side. Can he find this angle? Looking for the fireball, doesn't quite get it now, jumps right into the face for 47, but his opponent is doing a great job of trading off. No Ace goes down. That is next with support from his teammates. Can WT make the comeback? Can they turn this fight? It's looking tough as the camera angle gets onto next. He finds potions with his Thirsty, throws down the dash room, finds another angle, but he misses the fireball. Timmy, this is a game-deciding moment for both teams. Whoever comes out of this one is going to be feeling much better rolling into the final circle, but it's so close.
Oh man, it is a fight right here. They are both hanging on narrowly. I think next to Lino's squad very, very aware that they have a squad, they have an enemy down. They do not want to let that revive go off. They do not want to let the squad reset. But at this point, they have to go into the storm to make sure they do not allow that to happen. Is it worth it? I think so. At this point, if they can take WT out, at least one squad mate, it's going to be a big, big hit to WT. Like I said earlier, WT versus G3. WT, when you face this squad, you see this squad. They're fighting as a unit always. So taking one piece of that unit out is definitely going to be a big, big chink in the armor. But it looks like Nestalino is definitely on top of the aggression as they are able to connect, finally taking out WT Knack 3000. But No Ace with an exile onto Borsalino. One of the squad mates does go down from Nestalino, and it looks like the 2 remaining are on top of the last player from WT, and that's going to be it. As Primo does go down, it's going to be I think Nestalino that actually takes the engagement here. We see WT Primo, we see Knack 3000, and maybe WT has one left, but it looks like Next is very, very, very low and dies to the storm. Is that the whole Nestalino squad goes down? I think we just looked. Oh my goodness, please. Oh wow.
Yeah, they fall. So in the kill feed, although you do see Borsalino's name pop up, that is because another kill finished. Don't be deceived. Nextalino_SB is now out of this match. And also, I did see Team CL take some disrupts. I'm not sure if those finished with exiles, but you have to imagine that the back-to-back winners of these games are in a bit of trouble. Moving over now to a different team. I believe this is the Papao Promise. We got Kalku Faded now on the back line. Look at all of those knowledge potions that he's already drank. 6 sorceries on Boulder, 5 with the Toxic Cloud. There is so much burst potential from Kalku Faded. He takes a massive Frost Knife, though. Gonna have to take a quick second to try to pot up. Thirsty will help a little bit, but it looks like we're facing off 3 teams of 3. And Timmy, this one is going to really break down. Or sorry, G3 only has 2 members, actually. So there's a solo, a duo, and 2 teams of 3. Going to be a very confusing final fight as there's a lot of space to work with here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that we're looking at one of maybe 2 full squads remaining in this last lobby, and this is definitely going to be a huge advantage, especially with all those knowledge potions, like you said. You pointed out they have got all these sorceries, especially that Boulder on hand. If they can last it out to this final circle and get a little bit closer, I think with all 3 of them on hand, they might have a really good chance of winning this lobby, and that's what I expected to see coming out from Kyrie Caitlin. A really great player at positioning. She always makes her way to these final circles and positions herself in a good place to win. And then it comes down to the fight, and it looks like they really have set themselves up as a squad to take this W. It's all going to come down to if they can win or not, facing up against some of these monsters as the circle does get low, smaller and smaller, and pushing closer and closer. We see some gamers at the top of the big hill here, and they do not want to get in that engagement at all. Throw down some toxic slaps to try to maybe land and deny some people from this area up here. But it looks like Southside Sandy and this squad, Doobity Nasty, is not having any of it as they are on the high ground advantage, and they are pretty close to the safe zone. They're going to try to fight it out here with Kyrie Caitlin's team coming in, and it looks like the fight is on and the action is throwing down. Who's going to come out on top here, Place?
I'm not sure, but Southside Sandy's getting stuck up on the back of this rock in the CC. You see how much it affects him. He does have Harmony, so he's able to just stand in the middle. No fear of anything coming his way. Does have to take a quick potion thanks to Thirsty on the belt. We'll see what he can do now. Trying to get these shots off, but can't quite land any to kill. His team is in a great spot on this hill, but it's not going down in terms of the actual shots landing. Southside Sandy's down to just 4 HP. The TP is available, but there's nowhere to TP. Southside Sandy's going to have to just do what they can. No resources in the pocket. We bounce over to Kyrie Caitlin, looking for the fight, knows that there's some players potting over on the other end, but doesn't want to fully engage, waiting for the full team to get with them. And it's like you said to me, Kyrie Caitlin plays so smart. Can they capitalize on it though and take the win here? 8 players remaining as G3 Megaverse took out the straggler. Okapapa goes down. So we have a duo and 2 teams of 3 remaining in here. G3 is still in it. We'll see if they can take the W here. Kyrie Caitlin's teammate, Kalku Faded, goes down, and she's going to have to try to make it work here on the end to me. It's going to be a tough fight.
She's trying her best, throws down a nice little fire NATO to try to bring that opponent back from pursuing her opponent. She's her teammate. She's the last one alive, the hero left for this squad. And honestly, I really expected these people, this squad to come through and win this game, as they were really all 3 alive, all 3 really positioned, and all 3 really just putting themselves in a good place to avoid the spotlight. But it looks like they finally did get focused, and here we go. We see Kyrie Caitlin trying to throw down some fire, but does get focused quite quickly as Megaverse and Indubitably Nasty comes through to throw down some big damage. Fireball is going to be able to connect, and that's going to be Cam for his birthday. Comes through with a shockwave. The floor is lava, and G3 takes the 3rd round. They lost the member there halfway through that round. They played it really smart. I think that honestly, as soon as they lost that 3rd member, they kind of went into a little bit of a turtle mode. That aggression that we expected from them kind of slowed back. They held it back just a little bit, but they were ready. They were kind of like, you got close enough. They were ready to throw down and fight really, really hard, but they just wanted to keep their distance until that came down to that point. And I think it worked out beautifully for them. They were able to survive and take that 3rd round really nicely. Wow.
I mean, that's something really important to note. All day we've been watching G3 play super, super aggressive, but they're able to make a quick adjustment. They can play different styles. Sometimes you see comp players locked into a certain game set, but G3 was able to take that early exile onto their team, 2 people remaining. And like you said to me, just a full adjustment in the game plan, and they succeed with the win in game 3. That ends CL's win streak. So I believe that Colt Levitt has won 2 games in a row to start us off. And then the 3rd game was just won by G3. So that'll bring you guys the standings. If you want to check the scores, please hit !scores and go to the Discord, and then hit !scores in the Discord as well. We're trying to work out a new system with automated scoring. But for now, Timmy, we got to take a halftime break. I need a little bit of breath right now.
Oh my gosh, I might need a nap. I don't even know. I need to see a doctor. I'm all riled up. My blood pressure. It's so much fun. I'm super excited to see what happens back on the EU region, and I hope you guys are back with us when we get back. Make sure you join up in that Discord for all the information on the scores and stuff. And I think we'll be back in probably 5 minutes or so, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
believe it's 8 or 9 minutes. 10
Oh,
minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, 10-minute break. That's great, man. I can do my stretches, eat a bowl of cereal. But I'm excited, especially G3 coming through and getting that dub on that third round with all the kills beforehand. It's going to really be interesting to see those scores after the halftime.
Yeah, but before we go to halftime, I also want to shout out Paupo Promise right there. Kyrie Caitlin's team with Calcu Faded and Eureka's. Although they didn't get the 1st place finish, we were both talking about how smart the game plan was for them coming into it. I think they played really great Spellbreak, just couldn't quite finish for the 1st place, but still a great round, and it should be acknowledged. And with that, Timmy, I think we're ready for a quick 10-minute break. Please stick with us. We will be back shortly for the last games on EU.
See you guys later.
Welcome back from a little halftime break, hearing some words from Marcus, but we also have the scores from the first 3 games ready to present to you guys. So if you haven't been keeping up on Discord, which you can do by pressing !scores and joining the Discord and looking at it through that route. If you've not done that, we'll pull it up right now and you can see how we're standing with 3 games left to play. Something important to remember is that 2 games are throwaways, so these scores are not completely final. This is just how it's shaping up. And we got G3 heavy in first here, Timmy. Tell me about the rest of the stuff you see on the board.
Oh, we got Colt Levin, World Tier, Next Lino, and Nasty coming through 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Really, really, really close here on our 2nd and 3rd place. Colt 11 at 1,107. We got World Tier at 1,101. Literally 6 points off from each other. Very, very close. Also, nipping at the heels and 4th place is Next Lino. That squad that we've been talking about has a couple of players native to the EU region. Definitely excited to see what they're going to be able to do on their native ping. And then 5th place at 516 points coming in with Nasty. And that squad doing pretty well. We're going to see if they can pick it up a little bit more and see if any kind of interesting strategies come out. But it's really, really G3's game at this point. Can this aggressive strategy continue to pay off for them in the EU region, or are they going to have to kind of tighten it up a little bit, be a bit safer? It's going to be interesting going into the second half plays, but I'm not surprised to see G3 on top.
Yeah, not surprised at all. I mean, it's pretty much been G3 in the kill feed since we started the broadcast today. To see them in that first place doesn't surprise me. But what does surprise me is how close the second and third places are. That is really just a coin toss. And to keep you guys reminded, this is a qualifying event. If you get first place, it's bragging rights. But just finishing with a high score in first, second, third, or fourth is a great spot to be in as we start filtering out teams to get to the final money round. That is in 2 weeks' time. This is just the first qualifier. So, although the first place is always nice, it's also important to just make sure you're getting yourself up with consistent scores. And we've seen a lot of teams do that so far today. I'm going to throw it to you on the coin flip decision. Do you think that WT ends up ahead of CL by the end of the day, or do you think it stays like this?
Oh man, yeah, respect and love to all the players. I got to say that I have continuously seen WT come through with some really, really impressive teamwork. Like I said earlier, warmed my heart. They really didn't leave each other behind at all. So I'm kind of looking to see how WT kind of take over. But no disrespect to CL. Those players are just incredible top tier players. So it's going to be an even neck and neck battle the whole day, whole rest of this qualifier. But definitely, I'm going to give it to WT for right now. Maybe it'll change. I don't know. We'll see.
That's fair. I mean, we've seen WT play with some aggression in these past two matches. It's been awesome to see that, and we're waiting for Game 4 to start. Timmy talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, but just to remind you guys, it does move over to EU for the second 3 games. Timmy also talked about how Nextelino_SB has 2 players from EU, so they should stand to benefit more than the other teams. We'll see how much that really pays off. I have a curse where every time I bring up how much of a difference it makes, in the second half, it makes no difference at all. So we'll see if that happens again here today in the first Trio Cash Cup qualifier. But other than that, we're just waiting for this Game 4 to get cracking. I'm also excited to see because the team that has Kyrie, Caitlin, Kalku Faded, and I believe it is Eureka's Papau Promise, we're playing really good to end off the half. Can they come back with that momentum? As we said, it's a qualifier. Just getting yourself in that top 5 is huge. And I think that they can really rally themselves around here and get them into that top 5. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, exactly. I think Kyrie Caitlin, a player that I see in solos a lot, really, really smart with their movement. She always makes it to at least the top 5. Definitely always really moving really well across the map, and cannot forget Eureka's and Calculated, both experienced players, also names that when I see in the kill feed, I kind of tense up a little bit, ready to fight. So it's going to be interesting to see that squad come through, and maybe if that type of play style and that mentality of moving, focusing more on positioning and making it into that final confrontation is going to play out better here on the EU region or not. But I'm really interested to see if we see some new classes or some different gauntlets being used here to combat the latency. We talk about how some of these players can go through on this other region and they kind of just, it doesn't make any difference to them. But is it coming down to their skill, or is it coming down to smart choices with gauntlets and classes that are going to benefit from that latency? Things like maybe fireballs that have a large radius, pyromancer, or stone shaper shockwaves that are a little less punishing if you're not super accurate. Are we going to see players that are normally playing things that are like conduit or frostborn swap over to something a little bit less accurate? And I'm interested to see what happens here. I think we're going to see some really top tier big brain plays coming out from these players. But here we go. I think we're getting ready to drop in soon plays. I'm excited. Is G3 going to take it? I don't know.
G3 is looking very, very confident as we're talking. I mean, the first 3 games, they didn't finish first in game 1 or 2, but they might as well have with how many exiles and damage they were piling on repeatedly. It's going to be exciting to see if they can carry that momentum. Sometimes after you take a 10-minute halftime break, you have to get back in the mode. You have to get back on your momentum. So we'll see if there's any sort of break in their pressure. We'll see if they kind of fold at all under that type of pressure. I know once you're holding first, you're looking down the roster, and it's a little bit more on your shoulders, more so than when you first start the event. But we'll see exactly how they respond to that. I'm confident that a team like G3 can take that pressure and even make themselves better from it. I know Chaos is a great player under those types of situations, so I'm excited to see. And as we say that, Cam Sucks gets a kill right off the bat, but Kappa returns it and takes down a G3 member, so we might see a bit of turbulence up there.
Definitely some early action going on for some big names. G3 known for that early action. As we say, every single round we jump in and we just look at the kill feed to see G3. And you know what? I can't say that this round is any different, as it looks like G3 did manage to just go ahead and secure their first squad wipe in less than a couple of minutes. And I'm going to be jumping around to find even some more action. I'm sorry, that's the first squad wipe in less than a couple of minutes. Okappa alive for just a little bit longer than his squad mates, as he does jump down to that low ground and try to find a little bit of cover to heal up, but it's not going to last as Megaverse comes over the top to take him out of the game and into the next lobby. A beautiful shockwave through the fireball. He doesn't care if he can't see through it. He knows where they're at. He can see the body heat, throwing out a nice little chariot bit of damage, and now the aggression is on. As soon as you see that first big bit of damage coming out, and you know your squad mate's there to help you back it up, that's when the green light is on. That's when the W key or the joystick is pushed forward, and you try to get that aggression to make the most out of the damage that you secured for yourself. But Megaverse getting a little bit baited as that squad that opponent kind of just brings him into his opponent. I mean, to his teammate that's sitting there waiting around the corner with a toxic slap, and that's going to be a lot of damage coming out from Megaverse. I mean, out to Megaverse, but he's able to get back up really quickly as Chaos was just waiting there to bring him back to life. I'm sorry, Cam. I think it was Cam that revived him there behind that firewall, able to use that little blind while Chaos comes through and deals the rest of the damage to the remaining offenders that did take Megaverse down. Don't do it again. That's what you get. 32 gamers remain in the HoloLens. Play safe. What's happening here?
Well, what we're watching is just some G3 wipes to start us off here. That is, yet again, the kill feed is all G3 Chaos and his team. Actually, right now, it's all just Chaos, so the credit goes to him on those kills, but the whole team benefited. We'll see what happens now, as it looks like Chaos is laying out a little bit of Frozen Alacrity for a team. Getting over to World Tier, though, Primo lands a nice shockwave, moving in closer now, but doesn't quite get the angle. Turns for a beautiful fireball, gets the disrupt as well, but Primo has to be careful about getting third-partied or hit from an opposite side. Knack 3000 is still quite healthy, looking for a good shot, some good maybe positioning, looking to finish off that exile as well. Primo has no boots though, so he has to be a little bit careful about taking an extended fight. It can go south very quickly, but a nice fireball will work to get that down. I saved Latin, falls to Knack 3000. Finally, the kill feed is covered with a different team here, Timmy.
Yeah, WT definitely a team that we were looking at, had our eyes on. Definitely some really good teamwork. Didn't expect this much aggression coming out early on, but maybe they picked up a few things from G3 in that first half, and we see the aggression coming on big time. Not only able to take out one squad, but that looks like it's going to be a second one as well, as Primo picks up his second exile of the game. And not only are they looking good for placement, looking good for loot, and looking good to make their way into the final area, but they're also looking really good in damage and exiles. But here we go. We're hopping over to CL, another top tier squad that we see coming through these lobbies tonight in this qualifier, and really showing you guys what top tier Spellbreak looks like, especially with nice coordination. And now Solar Bear coming down with the Alacrity Trail, trying to get close enough to throw down some fireballs to help out his squad mates, but it looks like there's a little bit of trouble going on as Solar Bear is able to stay on this high ground and throw down some nice frost lances to back up his teammate, but not before Flaming Dragon, aka CL Miba, does finally go down. But Solar Bear, with a little bit of a fireball to back himself up, is going to go ahead and tag Braden the Bagel and take him down, as he is able to buy himself a little bit of time, a little bit of cover, a little bit of pressure to bring up CL Miba back into the game and hopefully help his squad CL prepare for this final fight here. Nice Frostlands plays. Ooh.
Solar Bear is just hitting these ones right now, laying off the damage. Can he get the kill shot? Doesn't quite get the kill, but he breaks the armor. Now moving forward on that Frozen Alacrity. He can't miss, Timmy. Solar Bear just cracking off for his team right here. And you guys are seeing how CL won game 1 and 2. Great teamwork and great mechanics coming out from the whole squad. Solar Bear is not afraid, as he's going to keep on pushing forward, trying to find the last shot to get the kill. Oh, connects from deep. It's not a kill, but it gets it low enough, and now he can keep the track. Teleport is off cooldown. You have to expect he's going to whip that out soon. Looking for line of sight. Solar Bear still trying to follow this kill. His team is pretty far away. He has to be careful, but can he get it to land? Doesn't quite go through the trees. He instead just holds back, wants a bit more patience. I'm surprised he hasn't used the teleport quite yet. Maybe he wants to be safe, doesn't want to TP into a full team. But nonetheless, Solar Bear with some great plays here, Timmy.
Definitely. I'm very surprised to see him get this far away from his squads here, his squad mates. Definitely going to be a little bit difficult if he gets caught by himself with that Frostborn class. Putting a lot of damage out, and you're going to see a lot of value coming from that squad being able to let him kind of do his thing in the back. But we'll talk about that squad a little bit more in just a second as we see next Lino coming through. This is the squad I was very interested to see pop off in this lobby. A couple of EU players coming through, and definitely on this EU region, probably gonna be able to take advantage. And oh my goodness, it looks like G3 is gonna be falling in the kill feed, at least 2 out of the 3, as Chaos and Cam does go down. We see Next getting that exile going on right now, and it looks like Borsellino's gonna be able to come through, take out Cam in the kill feed, and Next taking the Chaos. This is insane. This is a very, very big squad meeting up very early on in the game, and it looks like a good portion of G3 is actually going to be taken out of the game, as Next to Lino is setting himself up for a really good lobby here. Wow.
Yeah, for sure right there. I mean, a convincing set of exiles. Now we're looking at Fluff and Nudes and his team of FPS. Look at the sneak in the bush there. Gets a backwards angle. Can he make the most of it? Trying to turn this fight. Dash is double stacked, and Nudes takes it off the foreground, now looking from a low side, trying to make it work, but he's about to get hit by 3 different players. And Timmy, that is the end of FPS's run. CL Cozy is credited with all 3 kills, and it looks like Colt Levin is ready to make a run, ready to get back to winning some games here. Remember that they won game 1 and 2, and they're looking for the 3rd dub of the day for their squad.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a lot of damage. That's some great team coordination. We see them all 3 just jump in on that final opponent there and just completely demolish the remaining bit of resources and health and armor there they had. And this is just a great squad to watch in terms of just all of them have such a great defined role in this squad. We have Solar Bear, that's just this great sentinel that can set up in the back and get really good engage damage or really just clean up damage. We got Cozy with the toxicologist that can sneak around, get in your face with the shotgun damage and just really cover that close range. And then you just got Flaming Dragon, aka CL Amoeba, on the Tempest, able to jump around, stay very evasive, keep people trying to shoot him, trying to hit him, and also throw down that nice CC when he needs to back it up. And it's just gonna be a really strong comp with some really strong players, and you see exactly what happens when that comes together. 5 exiles for Cozy, and it looks like CL is kind of just looking to take this whole lobby, and anybody in their way is going to have some trouble.
Yeah, now we're getting over to Chris Sensei, trying to throw out some fireballs. Can't quite get them to go. His team is getting pushed aggressively. Can he make up for his teammates going down? You see one member down. His other teammate is just so low. Chris Sensei is the only one with enough resources to try to fight this out, but the lightning bolts from all angles. Beautiful shockwaves come down, but is it enough to fight the 1v3? It's not. Death SB plants Chris Sensei, and it is the last member of this team who's going to have to run away. That is EG Roku, my apologies, and Chris Sensei will likely just get exiled and thirsted here. That should be the end of his game. It's so hard to perform when you're the last remaining player of your trio. Playing a 1v3 is hard enough in a pub. Now put yourself in a comp situation. It is difficult, Timmy.
Oh, definitely. The only way that I could really see it is sometimes we see players like Solar Bear make the best, where they really use that one person mentality where they can just slink around and play it really slow and try to go for placement. But you really just have to be really skilled to do it in a lobby full of killers like this. And in the end, Roku's team is not going to be able to survive, as Death and Frigid North comes through to deal a lot of damage. Really good play coming out from Chris there. I got to say, he was the last one of the squad mates there for a while. Got into the face of his opponent with the shockwaves from the Stone Shaper and really did a lot of damage. But in Spellbreak, you got to be aware that you're telegraphing your moves. You're telegraphing what you're doing when you're making all those loud noises and that big, bright, shiny spells going around. So you've got to expect somebody to come in for that third party always. And we see that happening coming from that Lightning Gauntlet, or that Frost Gauntlet, I'm sorry, coming out from, next the Lightning Gauntlet onto Chris there earlier on. Was doing a great job with the stone, but did get tagged by not, keeping himself safe and looking over his shoulder. But it looks like Next Lino looking really good, making their way into the safe zone. They've got a good position here. They've got decent loot. They're kind of setting up shop, making sure that they've chosen their fort and ready to kind of just stake their claim in this area and say, this is where we're going to fight in this final circle. If you want to beat us, you're going to have to invade our castle. And I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great idea from this team to just post up. I mean, we know all 3 players on this squad can hit their shots even from range. We've been watching Death SB so far take multiple kills off the top, and now we see him going for the engage, trying to get that double cloud bounce, looking for the snipe, but the player jumps out with the shadow step. Death doesn't quite get it to go. His toes are bouncing on the fracture. He is not afraid of it as he runs over onto the far side, looking for where this opponent might be potting, but he's got to get back to his team. Borsellino's taking damage, and Nex is laying out the pressure. Death is still looking looking for this player potting, and he finds him. A beautiful angle, but he doesn't quite get the kill. Now Death is in a tight spot, trying to make it work against the Pyro player, but no! Death goes so low, trying to break out over the cliff. Can he find a place to pot? We will not know quite yet. Death does get a little bit of angle, but he's still being chased, Timmy. This is such a hard fight for them to break out of so many different angles, and Death SP's almost cracked on armor, takes the Shadow Step up, gets back to that high ground, but the Lightning Strike takes it. Knack 3000 with a beautiful set of sorcery plays, and we move over to his perspective. Dropping lightning bolts from distance, doesn't quite get the kill other than the one he put onto Death SP, but the damage is there. Timmy, this is what we talked about with conduit players in trios. They can make all the difference.
Oh, yeah. Knack, WT and Knack 3000 specifically playing this perfectly. Just really, really well positioned. I really thought Death was coming in, committing to that kill, going into the storm. I thought that he had it. All of a sudden, he was blown up by DFs and lightning sorceries. Oh, my. And I think that was by the hands of WT that just came through and backed each other up and took advantage of their great positioning. Once again, really, really great movement across the map and in this final zone. And that's what you see coming through in almost every one of these final engagements. That comes down to helps you win, put yourself in the right place at the right time. And here we see Nextolino, all three squad mates still alive. Not going to be a lot of armor for Death or Borsalino, but able to recover from that really, really, really difficult situation. Shout out to that squad for being able to make that happen. That is not an easy place to come out of. But it looks like WT is going to be on that kill feed as CL, Cozy, Mibba, and Solar Bear all going down in the kill feed. It looks like we're going to lose CL in this lobby. Definitely a lot of kills and damage coming out for CL, but out of the lobby and into the next one for the next round. It looks like Nextolino's looking for some damage plays. What are they doing here?
Yeah, we'll see if it comes through, but as you mentioned, now that CL is out, this is WT's chance to pull ahead in the standings. The two teams are pretty much tied, and WT has an opportunity. We're watching Borsalino, though, try to finish off that kill. Couldn't quite get the last fireball to go. As we mentioned, that Kyrie Caitlyn gets a kill in the feed, but Borsalino's taking so much damage from all different angles. Beautiful usage of the boulder to cover his backside. Eureka goes down, so does Kalku Faded, and it looks like Nextolino_SB is making the impossible happen, Timmy. You talked about how they fought out of such a tough spot, and they continue to just look for these insane angles and benefit from it. Now they're looking at this high ground. Look at the boulder damage. Borsalino doesn't quite get the kill, but WT will gladly swallow up those low HP targets. We might just see a 3v3 to end off this match as we see Nextolino_SB putting on the pressure. Timmy, this one is going to come down to the wire.
Oh my goodness, and WT just playing it super, super well. Great positioning this whole time. I think Borsalino's team there was really great on top of this structure, able to use that high ground and basically just keep this whole section of the circle to themselves. But in the end, it did get them focused a little bit, and we see two of WT's squad mates still alive and well. Knack 3000 laying down some big lightning onto Borsalino, and that's going to be the end of Borsalino and Next. But as he turns around and jumps up to the high ground, he gets tagged big time coming out from Megaverse, and now G3 is still in this. WT, the last squad mate alive for WT, and it looks like they're going to fall to the hands of Megaverse. G3 Megaverse, the only squad mate left for that G3. 4 Exiles are looking for that fifth one, as I think there's one remaining opponent here. Finds the above hand, throws down some boulders, trying to use that spring step to jump back, and it looks like the pressure is on for Megaverse right here. Oh my gosh, great positioning, able to use this firewall extremely well to get himself a little bit of a blind and heal up. Dodges that incoming boulder really, really easily, as it is pretty slow moving at that range. It's going to be pretty easy to get out of that damage if you're able to use that spring step. And oh my goodness, a great above head advantage as he's able to spot this gamer trying to heal up behind the rock, throws down an unavoidable firewall and pushes him out of the way, and that's going to be the end of the game for Death SP. And Megaverse comes out with a fireball with the flick of the wrist, and the floor is lava, and G3 comes through. Oh my gosh, please.
What did we just see?
Man,
they went down early. We saw Camsucks and Chaos fall. I think there was still 20 people left in the game. It was only Megaverse, and he just went for the play right there. That was a clean 1v2. Both players were pretty much full resource as Megaverse took that one. I think we can all take a deep breath. I'm shaking after watching that quick play. What a clutch move from Megaverse to secure the win for G3. That is yet another huge play, and I think we got a replay of that. Let's run it back.
Oh, yeah.
Let's break it down here. Megaverse just looking for this angle. Look at the positioning, the state of mind to know that the res is coming, goes and spots that. This is just incredible Spellbreak. Megaverse looking for these movements, trying to get his rune cooldowns off as soon as possible, and just the clutch aim with the fireball, no pressure, no fear. G3 Megaverse just showing up for his team right there. What a game 4. We still have 2 more matches to go, Timmy. I might pass out.
Oof, if they keep doing this kind of stuff, I'm gonna need a doctor. Somebody's gonna have to send somebody for me. I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think we see a little bit of what I was talking about. Whenever you get into a squad situation and 2 of your squad mates go down, it's really, really, really difficult. But the bright side, little silver lining to that cloudy day, is that you can be a little bit more stealthy. You can play a little bit for yourself. And when you get into that small circle and you're by yourself, you don't have to worry about backing your squad up as much. And you have a Stone Shaper class that has a little bit of sustain and a lot of damage output, you can really kind of pop off and play to those strengths and really punish anybody that gets close. And you know that Megaverse is going to be one of those people that do it, definitely. But we cannot sleep and ignore the fact that Nextelino's squad came through on the EU region. They really did pop off. They played really well. I think they got second or third there. They managed to get in that great positioning in that final circle, and they really held their own until the final little bit, whenever I think Megaverse was really able to use that solo play a little bit and throw those shockwaves out and those fireballs and do a lot of damage when people were just trying to focus on squad play. Well, G3 coming through plays, man. Wow, wow, wow.
I mean, we got to give that some note as well. When you watch a 1v2 on some sort of YouTube montage, it looks clean. This was a 1v2 versus 2 of some of the best Spellbreak players we have in the community, Next and Borsalino and Death SB, who I believe was already down. So it's just such a tough situation to fight out of. He manages to play it almost perfectly, and Megaverse just representing for G3 in game 4. For the record, everybody who may have joined late, Team CL won the first 2 games by placement. G3 won the third and fourth game in first place, but the scores are different. When you get a very high amount of exiles and damage, you can sometimes push yourself ahead of some of these other teams that end up in first place on the scoreboard. So if you look at the scores, G3 has a convincing lead, and they're just stacking on top of it now, Timmy.
Oh yeah, I think that's one thing that you need to think about, the mentality in these tournaments, these qualifiers. Is it going to be something when you get that early on lead? Is it going to be something that you're kind of stressing about? I need to care. I need to really, really try to hold on to this lead, or is it going to be a little bit of a breath of fresh air? You're going to get a little bit of weight off your shoulders. I've got a little bit of a lead. I can kind of be calm. I can be patient. It's going to allow me to play more on my A game, where I'm not stressing about trying to get that. And I'm thinking that maybe G3 leans a little bit toward the latter there, where they kind of just feel a little bit of weight off their shoulders. They definitely want to keep that lead, but they feel confident in their performance already. And by the way, you guys, if you do want to make sure you keep up with the scores and make sure that you're part of one of the best communities in the Spellbreak community, exclamation point Discord will give you a link to the Element Discord. It's where we run all these events. It's where you can meet competitive players. You can form your own your own squad from meeting new players in this community. And you can also get individual stats on your favorite team. So if you do exclamation point scores, you press spacebar, you type G3. If I'm not mistaken, you will get some stats for that individual squad. And if you're a fanboy, you can keep right on that track. And some of us like some of these squads. So come in there, join up, and get ready because it's a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And I also want to mention one more time, while we're talking about community and about this tournament in specific, huge shout out to Armin Som for the $100 donation towards this prize pool. We are a community run server, and it is just a blessing to get so much support. So thank you to you. Also, thank you to Enlighten for the gifted subs during today's broadcast. We get so much love, and we couldn't be doing this without you, the viewers at home. But I mean, we also can't be doing it without Megaverse pulling out 1v2s like that, Timmy. That was just crazy for game 4. 2 more matches to remain. Both of them are going to be played on EU, as we talked about earlier. And we'll see if Nextelino_SB can continue to ramp up here. You talked about how they improved in game 4, and I'm expecting nothing but more improvement in 5 and 6.
Oh yeah, definitely. As you see the qualifier go on, and you see the prevailing strategies that are really working, and these players that are really figuring out how to run these lobbies, you're going to see counter strategies coming out, and you're going to see some of these squads try to figure out how to deal with the domination coming out from CL and G3, and now on this new region, we might see a little bit of stuff coming out from Nextelino. I think that I noticed that the NA player on that squad was actually running Toxicologist through that round. So that might have been a little bit of a big brain thought ahead of time. You got the Toxicologist, you can get up in that face, you can get up close, and sometimes it's not as affected by latency, although sometimes the Vanishing Mist dashes could be a little bit tricky. But that player felt comfortable doing it. I can't remember exactly who had Toxicologist on that squad that round, but they were definitely doing a great job. And I think it was a thought that came from NA. But also, I do want to make a shout out to Armin X, like Armin Sum, like you said, he did donate. But the cool thing about Armin, I've noticed, he's an Xbox player, if you guys don't know, and he actually plays toxicologist. And that's one of the cool things that's going on in the community right now. If you're new to the game, if you're new to Spellbreak, and you really want to get involved with this, and you don't know if you're playing on PlayStation or Xbox or anything else, and you're not sure if you can compete, we see these console players coming into this community and really showing up and showing that it's possible. And not only showing up and competing, but also supporting in a big way. So again, shout out to Armin. Shout out to all the console players coming through. If you guys want to join up, make sure you get involved with the best place to play. And we're going to hop into some action here, Clays.
Yeah, right on to G3. And I think for the first time today, G3 doesn't get the first squad wipe. There's other kills in the kill feed. We're looking at Borsellino getting a drop onto Chirp Chirp. Death SB finishes off Johnny Problems. And we're switching cams now. We got Sleep Rare trying to make his way out of this one. This is Team MVP, I believe. Or sorry, FPS. Wrong abbreviation. They're making that decision to just completely peel out of this fight. Does not want any business with what is behind them. But the issue, Timmy, there's people in front of them too. So Sleeper is going to have to make a clutch decision. They're going to have to make some mechanical plays to play out of this one. Not great loot looking down the barrel either.
No, definitely not in a great position as they are between a couple of squads. You got to kind of decide, where do I want to fight? Where's the most advantageous place to engage here? And I do not think it's the low ground. I would prefer to see FPS coming through and taking on this squad on the top. But sometimes you got to figure out, maybe a feeling of I can take this squad or I can't take this squad. And sometimes it's just too late and you just got to fight, just like this right here, as they do turn around from looting to find that squad from Ruby Grove hot on their heels. Sleeper able to drop down for just a second and drink up that HP potion, but at what cost? As that squad, his squad mates are definitely getting pushed in. Now able to jump in from the backside, throw out some easy lightning bolts, tries to hit the land with the frost, not going to be able to connect at all, and the squad mates are going down slowly, but it does not matter as Sleeper has that lightning sorcery, and it's going to connect big time as Two Vanilla for you goes down, dropping down with the frost wedge, tries to connect at the top of the head, barely misses, going to give that player a haircut for sure, and lightning bolts from below are going to connect on those feet, bringing that armor all the way gone, and I believe that beautiful lightning sorcery actually connected there as well. That's going to be bringing this player down even lower, less than 60 HP, I do believe. And now Sleeper here on the high ground, able to use that spree step to make sure he stays above and on track of the opponents, but getting slapped by a big toxic gauntlet. And now on the S key, trying to get a little bit of distance between his pursuers, but gets smacked into a rock and held still for just a second. Able to get out of that slap there, but it is almost any second that Sleeper is going to go down. But hey, look at his squad mates here. He's actually buying himself enough time for those squad mates to get revived, get healed up, and maybe Sleeper might be the MVP of this squad, as he has been coming through with some very, very clutch lightning sorceries, and also buying a lot of time for his squad mates to come in and potentially get a real easy cleanup. But does finally fall, as he does a valiant effort at keeping these opponents on the chase for a long time. And it looks like there's the cavalry coming in at the late end as the Sleeper does go down, but it looks like his teammates are there to back him up. And there you go, Insomniac Panic coming through to take out Knots and Smurf. Fluff and News taking out Lil Bandoose. And it looks like that's exactly what they needed. Sleeper MVP for that squad coming through with a big brain play and some nice kiting there. Wow.
Beautiful movement, and also a quick little interaction in the middle of that fight. Sleeper dropped his frost sorcery right when a toxic slap was coming his way. He ended up falling right after it, but that bought him an extra 5 seconds, an extra window for his team to come through and swipe. And that is exactly what we just saw, as you mentioned. Borsellino now with the rest of his team hits the tree on the backside there, but still looking for this angle. 42 damage, nice shot from him. Focus mana is already 3 stacked. Can he get that massive damage burst to put them ahead? This looks like a 3v3, but now it's getting extended into multiple teams. Death SB takes down Knack 3000 with the help of Borsellino shockwaves. That is a lot of damage coming down onto Knack, and he's going to get exiled with the FP. It looks like WT is actually stuck between 2 fights, considering No Ace just took down an unrelated player. That is such a hard position for World Tier, and we were looking for them to make some big strides in the remaining games. You hate to see that early.
Definitely hate to see it, but also we were looking forward to this squad here coming through in this region, and it's exactly what we thought was going to happen. Next Lino coming through and not only popping off, but really standing toe-to-toe with some of the squads that were really running the first few rounds in this qualifier and taking them down. WT Knack 3000 going down to Borsellino. We see SB also backing him up there, and it's also going to be really strong with Borsellino with that focus mana all the way upgraded, like you said, those shockwaves for 55 damage from the outside is just going to be such an easy cleanup or such a good backup ping damage for squad mates if he can just keep himself on the outside perimeter. And that's exactly what he's been able to do so far. Next, now coming through on the kill feed as well as X3RR3X does go down. And it looks like WT Primo or WT Squad, I'm sorry, is in the storm. Riders in the storm here as they are getting spotted a little bit by some Frost Lance damage coming out from long range, but doesn't feel too pressured here. Going to be able to jump on in through this storm. You're going to be able to get some consumables, make sure they're nice and stocked up. Any talents or scrolls they might find is going to be very beneficial here to make sure that you are stocked up, prepared, and ready. Like, kind of try to activate your talent build as much as possible to go into this final zone prepared for a throwdown, because that's exactly what's going to happen, plays.
Oh yeah, and looking at the talent selection that they have, just think of the difference of making that fervor a 3 stack instead of 1. You can potentially flip an entire fight when you have that extra attack speed. The same thing goes for focused mana. If you have that all the way stacked and you land 2 shockwaves off that multiplier, it is devastating for the player you're matching up with. We know that WT is looking for that loot, but it's hard when you only have 2 players, Timmy. When you try to go to a new spot to secure some new sets of loot, you can't look to take that 3v2 consistently. You have to play smart. We'll see what they do with the rest of this match as we're getting over to Nextolino_SB. Next on that conduit, dropping a body onto Z Panda, looking around the other angle. Does take a bit of a frost damage snipe, so he's going to have to just pace himself as he waits for the rest of his team to roll up. And there it is. Borsalino on the front side, Next sitting on the back, and look at the coordination. It is just so satisfying to see that level of team speak going on.
Oh my goodness, this is the squad I was waiting for. I knew they were going to come through in this region, and that's exactly what they were doing. Beautiful, beautiful play. It was like poetry in motion. Next, getting sniped and instantly just stops, drinks a little potion up behind this tower, and you can just see his squad mates just come in and swarm that player that did that damage to him. He said, not today, not with my boys around. They coming through, and they taking everybody out of this lobby right now and really, really dominating the competition. 3 exiles down for Next as he is rocking that conduit class. That's going to be one of those classes that not everybody can play on this region with this ping, but Next is coming through and he's making it work. We see him being able to exile a few people with that nice little bit of accuracy, and now we see this squad kind of just making their way around, collecting loot as much as possible. Very, very nice upgrades for Next. We see focus mana, fervor, thirsty, almost completely educated. One more for fervor will do the deed, and it's going to be really, really nice to see that much damage coming out, especially at a medium range where anybody that wants to deal with a conduit, they're going to have to close the gap if they can. And when you have 2 other players there to back them up, that's going to be a tall order. So we'll see if anybody can deal with the likes of Nextolino as they are on the latency, the region that they prefer, and they are really showing off right now.
Yeah, and looking at what they've got on their inventory, I mean, we got a fully stacked focus mana with a legendary lightning gauntlet, and not just that setup, it is on a player like Next who hits his shots consistently. That is a very big threat for any tournament player looking at this build right now, and it looks like they're making the call to push into this new spot, maybe try to find a fight. They know that they have to compete to rack up some scores. They are playing from behind for the most part, and we'll see what they can do here. Next, getting a really, really nice lightning sorcery, and now going to try to move up forward, pinches his opponent down to just about 60 HP. Next is now just in this spot to move up, takes the dash with that momentum, doesn't quite get a good enough angle, but his team is just doing such a great job of applying map pressure, forcing these opponents to move where they want them to move, forcing them to take spots that are disadvantageous for the other team. Nextolino_SB now going to have to take this engage, Timmy.
Really, really nice engagement there. I really didn't like them coming off their high ground, but it looks like it was the right move as these players are really on the run and low health. We'll be able to see Next coming out on top of this tower, throwing out some lightning lightning damage, but does find himself very, very, very low in the blink of an eye as a toxicologist comes out from another dimension to slap his armor away and half of his health. Now able to retreat behind his teammate Death here and able to try to get himself healed back up and reset for this fight. But it looks like Borsalino's taking a little bit of damage there as all the armor is gone as well. But all 3 able to see a little bit of regeneration coming off and now reset. Next is ready to get back in and hopefully take a little bit of advantage of this fight that's going on. Maybe this third-party perspective is going to be able to get some nice little cleanup going on. And here's what you see about the conduit class that you really, really love, sometimes with Tempest as well. It's not only going to be about that huge amount of damage or that big CC sorcery. Sometimes it's about the information that you can gather just from getting a quick ping. If you get the Next in your squad, he can quickly ping somebody, see how much armor, see how much HP they have. Is it worth to engage this player, or should we hold off until they're a little bit lower? And I think people kind of take that for granted. And in squads, you can't take anything for granted in terms of what role role you play in that squad. And I think Next is not only a great engager, not only a great cleanup, but also a really, really great scout with this conduit player, this conduit class. And we're going to see if it comes in play here as they wrap themselves around onto the high ground and make themselves into the final circle.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point that you raised, Timmy. But now we got to get over to Kyrie Caitlin, who's looking to try to play a 1v2 or a 1v3. The rest of her team is down. Looking forward now. Oh, the opponent goes down to Storm, and that was actually Megaverse. And now Kyrie should be able to pick up her team, but no, the potion goes just in time. Does she survive? The tip lands. Kyrie Caitlin just so close to surviving there, but it was just a second too late. And now we get over to Death SB. 14 players remaining in this game. We'll see if Nextelino_SB can keep up this momentum. But we got to get over to Team FPS. Rolling onto that high ground now. Spring Step off cooldown. What can Sleeper do with it? Dodges out of the way of two different incoming attacks. Nice movement, but does it pay off? Can they burn their cooldowns offensively to make this fight swing in their favor? Their teammate Insomniac Panda is low. Sleeper is not exactly healthy. How can this one play out? The third parties should be following up as well. FPS might have to make the executive decision to get out of this one, but it might be too late, Timmy. Sleeper is stuck in a tree, and I don't know how this one resolves.
Oh my goodness, they have a really decent position there as they did have the team kind of pinned up against the wall, the Storm getting pushed in, but unfortunately just taking way too much damage and not dealing enough of their own as they did have to rely on the retreat and trying to get back here and to reset and get the full squad together to hopefully put out some damage here and be competitive. But I gotta say, Megaverse in the kill feed, G3 in the kill feed has not been a huge presence in that kill feed so far, but coming through and still alive. Oh my goodness, Sleeper going down to Death SB from the top of that wall. We see the lightning guns come down and that lightning sorcery just connect. Going to be the largest damaging sorcery in the game if you are that level 4 conduit and all 4 strikes hit you. It's going to be about 80 damage or more, and it's going to be very, very difficult to recover from, especially if you don't have Harmony or anything else to deal with that CC. And now we're going into the next bit of action, and we got WT still in the mix. Not the full power WT, but definitely at least 2 out of 3 in here trying to put some action down. And a beautiful little flick of the wrist as the fireball comes out and that backwards spring step puts him in that place where Nasty goes down to no ace, but it's going to be Solar Bear paying him back with a quick little flick in the back of the head as no ace does fall instantly for his trouble. Solar Bear coming through and taking out Fluff and Nudes, Southside Sandy, and no ace going down. And I've seen several players belong to the name of CL Solar Bear, and it looks like CL Solar Bear is popping off in this lobby right now. CL coming through and really doing great things as all 3 squad mates are still fine and healthy and making their way into this final confrontation, looking really strong plays.
Yeah, Solar Bear just trying to hit some of these miracle shots from deep. He's been hitting them all day today, trying to just get that one angle over the top of the rock, but it will get stopped by the firewall. Now they're going to push up. The Frozen Alacrity gets laid out. Solar Bear and his team look for that aggressive push. The teleport as well. Solar Bear's been running that rune almost all day today, trying to hit this one last crack, but it doesn't quite go. This is a tough spot now. Only 2 players left on CL. Miba is on the front line, but not for long, taking so much damage. Solar Bear hits a beauty onto Death SB. Almost gets the second follow-up. Can he 1v3 or 1v2 in this current situation? Gets jumped on, and it's going to be so hard to pull this one off. Does have the teleport. Will he whip it out? Throws down the fireball. 36 lands, gets Borsalino, dodges out of the way with the teleport. Solar Bear may have just pulled off a miracle if he can take this 1v1. Looking around the edge now, he is getting chased. His opponent is so healthy. It was not quite enough, but we have to give credit for the valiant effort. Solar Bear almost pulling off the 1v3 against Nextelino_SB, but at the end of the day, the EU boys plus Death take game 5.
Not surprised to see them come through and pop off at least one of these rounds in this region. I was excited to see how that latency adjustment would work out for them. And it looks like not only did they go in there playing better with that latency, but also with a mindset of adjusting to that play style and really popping off. Huge shout out to CL, specifically Solar Bear. Well, actually, no, the whole squad. There for a second, I was watching Solar Bear take shots after shots and not being able to connect. And I thought, wow, his squad mates are really doing their job. They're up there in the front. They're giving him everything that he needs to do to be able to pop off. And if he doesn't come through and connect, then they're kind of, this is where it falls apart. But finally, as soon as that thought crossed my mind, he came through, he connected with a couple of them, wasn't able to win the dub, wasn't able to win the round, but really, really top tier teamwork coming out from CL. Very, very impressed with both players of Solar Bears, teammates coming through and dropping down to give him Cozy and Flaming Dragon, to give him that time that he needed to do what he's supposed to do. And a really, really exciting close match coming out. Nice.
Yeah, and something to always keep in mind here is that damage score makes a huge difference. So although Solar Bear didn't manage to pull off the clutch, I believe I watched him put out 210 damage total onto the three members. That is massive when it comes down to the scores, and even more massive when we look at the scores as they were standing at halftime. There was only a 6 point difference between second and third, CL being in second. That's a major, major difference as we have the last game coming up, Timmy. It's hard to believe how quickly this event has moved. We are already on game 6 of 6 and wrapping up the event. That is just crazy considering the action we've seen.
Oh yeah, I mean, time flies when you're having fun. Am I right, chat? Come on, y'all. But it's always a good time to see these players come through and put on a good show for us, and see exactly what competitive Spellbreak looks like whenever it's done right and done right and done well. And you see these squads coming through and showing you guys exactly the type of mentality that you need to bring into this game, into these lobbies, if you really want to compete against the best of the best and take the dub. I am very happy to see next to Lino come through and on this region and really show us what's up with those players. I know they're OG players. They've been playing the game for a long time, been competitive Spellbreak, and it's cool to see them be able to show you guys what can happen. So anybody over in that region that doesn't normally have people to play or have competitive players that you want to watch and learn from and maybe potentially even talk to, make sure you join up in the Discord. We have EU players, we have console players, we have PC players, exclamation point Discord. We'll give you guys a link to that. But I'm excited going into round 3. I do not know what to expect at all plays in terms of scores. There's been such a shift of power. I think G3 has done pretty well in these first 2 rounds and managed to really not be as aggressive as we saw early on in A, but they kind of like pulled it back like we were talking about. They played a little bit more safe, a little bit more squad oriented, a little less I'm a monster, I'm going to run through everybody. And I think that it's working out for them, and they might be holding on to that first place lead. We'll have to wait and see, though.
Yeah, I mean, Nextelino_SB has had a run of things in this second half on EU, and that's not to disparage their start. They played some solid matches on NA as well. This is not just them playing in a vacuum on EU. We can see exactly how the scores are going to shake up. If you want to do that, make sure that you're in the Discord and you press !scores into any of the chat channels. It should pull you up with an updated score sheet. You can also do !scores and just the team name of your favorite team to keep track of how they're placing. But now we got game 6 out of 6 just around the corner. I want to remind everybody that 2 games are throwaways. So as these teams start to look at how the scores are stacking up, teams like G3 who are in the lead can look at this game as a chance to just pop off. Because if they die early, it is a throwaway, and they would have had to throw something away anyway. So it really opens up a lot of doors on alternative strategies. We'll see if G3 can get back to their W key from the start like we saw on NA, but I'm expecting to see them just play into pace.
I'm excited to see what they do as well here going in. They really can try to figure out what I think it's up to them. That, like you said, they have 2 they can throw away. They have 4 pretty good games already. They can kind of chalk up and put it in the bank, deposit that. It's there for them. It's not going anywhere. But we'll see what they do going in to this final round. And I think that I'm really, I thankful for the way the Element runs things. I know that you guys are some of you newer people that are just coming in. The interesting thing about these tournaments is it's not just about placement. It's about damage. It's about exiles. So you see some other competitive settings, especially in a battle royale, where you might find players that are playing to win. They're playing for placement. You don't see a lot of action. But with these kind of tournaments, you see squads and players go for kills, go for exiles, go for damage because they need to. And that makes just for such exciting engagements. I think I've seen a squad there that really had a great opportunity to kind of just play it safe. That's you. Play it safe, take it slow, and kind of just make their way into the final engagement. But instead, they chose to be aggressive because they needed those points to to be competitive. So I'm really excited to see what happens going in. Some of these squads going for the points, and that means aggression, and that's what I like. We'll see.
We love to see that aggression out here, and it seems like a trend now. In game 1, we had a pretty quick start, but it does seem like games 2, 3, 4, 5 have just been moving at a faster and faster pace as these teams settle into their game style. Like you mentioned, it all comes down to the decision-making of the team in the match at the moment. It's such a treat to see these teams make adjustments, make decisions. You lose a member, you play differently with 2. That is the key of competitive Spellbreak. Anybody can draw up a game plan, but can you execute it, and can you set yourself up to adjust if you need to? That's the key in these events. And as these scores start to lay out, I'm excited to see what the results are. This is game 6 out of 6. One more time, we'll mention it. And it has been just gone by in the flick of a finger, Timmy. This has just been a quick event. And remember, we got a solos event tomorrow that is also 6 games, and the follow-up qualifier number 2 for the trios is the same time next week on Saturday. All sorts of events coming at you from Element. Make sure that you're part of the Discord so you can look at the event calendar, orient yourself with everything, maybe join in if you want to play some competitive. It's open to everybody out here.
Yeah, and that's one of the greatest things about Spellbreak community in general, not just Element, but Spellbreak in general. There's a lot of really inclusive communities here for you guys to join up. It's such a great game, and you're going to find a lot of great people involved in this community, especially in the Element Discord. So hop in there and get involved. But here we go. We see a squad going down pretty low there, but it looks like Kyrie Caitlin was actually able to survive. And I got to shout out Kyrie Caitlin. I think for almost every single round, she has been the last survivor on the squad. A very smart player. She's very good with her movement. And here we go. Seeing her stay alive here at this first engagement to bring her squad mates up is just another testament to just that. It's going to be Bracky, Colin, and Frigid North that falls to the hands of Kyrie Caitlin's squad here. Pumpu Power? I can't remember this. Palpu Power is the squad name there. So we'll see that if they're going to be able to come through and maybe make a good impression on this lobby, able to make their way into the final, 5 or 6 squads almost every single lobby, but not throwing too much damage or exiles down, but really smart movement, and that's already more than half the battle in these games here, Plays.
Oh, for sure. And as you mentioned, every time we seem to pop over to Kyrie Caitlin, she's making clutch, smart plays for her team, just like we saw right there. But now bouncing over to EG, Roku, and the rest of his squad, they're in an engagement on the edge of Halcyon, but can they turn this? They look like they're in a lot of trouble, and Roku only has a Wolf's Blood. We know how disastrous that can be in a close fight. 33 players left in the game. Borsalino took down Chris Sensei, so we know that next Salino SB is the team likely chasing Roku and his teammate. This is such a tough spot to be in as the frost flies in. Roku gets chunked once again, and Borsalino with the W key on concrete takes him out. That's going to be a great start for Nextalino_SB in this game 6.
Definitely, and I just envision Nextalino coming through right now with that gas pedal all the way down, shifted it in the highest gear. They are in this lobby and they are out for blood. They want the damage, they want the exiles, and that's exactly what they're getting early on here. We see Borsalino with no belt on hand, but some really, really nice amulet and boots there, and that epic rarity. Going to be looking pretty good, and going to be able to take control of Halcyon here. And as PlaySafe said earlier, there's always some action. There's always a lot of stuff going on in Halcyon, and if it's not action going on with other players, then you're going to get a lot of action in terms of loot. So being able to control this area early on is going to be huge for this next Lino squad, and hopefully for their sakes, they're going to be able to keep pushing this aggression and really take this lobby by force and get a lot of damage out and exiles. That's the only way I think they're going to be able to be competitive against G3. But we'll see as the scores are going to be coming up after this round, and I do not have any idea who's coming out on top. But WT is on top in the kill feed right now. What's going on, Plays?
Yeah, when we looked at it at halftime, Timmy, it was pretty close. First place was G3 at a pretty significant lead, but second and third were very close, and fourth and fifth were not that far off either. It's going to be super confusing to see how these scores really line up. This is the last game. Teams do have to throw out 2 matches, so it's not always guaranteed when you look at the scores as they stand. A lot can change once those teams have to decide on throwaway matches. But speaking of throwaways, we got G3 in the kill feed just throwing these teams to the fire. We see this console squad get wiped by G3. That was the last take for them. And Timmy, when we were talking before this game, we were thinking, is G3 going to play aggressive? Are they going to play slow into game 6? And looks like the answer is right in front of us. They are W keying like their life depends on it.
Oh yeah, and they're doing it successfully up until that point right there. Chaos does get dropped. Looks like the third-party engagement's going to be coming in, so they're going to get pushed a little bit earlier than they would have liked. But we like to see Megaverse coming through. Nice spring step into that nice little toxic cloud down. Going to be able to push that opponent back. And now we see Cam coming in to try to step up and get that revive as Megaverse takes the front line and throws down some shockwaves. Does get tagged a little bit more than he wants, and now he's pretty much on that kiting regimen. He wants to try to buy some time for Cam and Chaos to come back through, or at least Chaos to reset and Cam to come back in and tag in. And that's exactly what happens. Cam's coming in to tag in for Megaverse. Megaverse dropping back to try to reset, but it looks like he is not ready resetting quick enough as Cam does fall to the hands of this 3-person squad. Megaverse now one with nature as he hides and finds himself a little home there, able to reset and get that armor and health back up Looks like Chaos does get quite a bit of those resources back as well with those consumables, but does not go into the action. Cam now trying to crawl to safety as Megaverse and Chaos says, "Get over here, dude. We're trying to help you get up." But it looks like Megaverse all the way fully ready to get back into action. Going to be able to wrap around the side here and try to get a little bit of a flank. Finds a player coming in with a flight rune, and is going to tag him really quick with a little bit of a slap to get rid of that fortitude, and now going in for some action as he is right there on the hills. Flight rune coming out again as that second charge is used, and now we know this squad is separated, and so does G3. Are they going to be able to take advantage of that separation or not? One squad mate flew away, so we'll see what happens. Little Bandos in the kill feed taking out WT Primo, and it's going to be Noah's falling as well.
I mean, after how great the communication from G3 has been all day, you have to expect that they know that they're separated. Look at the flick from Megaverse as he takes that one right on. Lil Bandos goes down to the toxic spray. Now Megaverse does get stuck in a bit of CC, doesn't shake him too much as he keeps his tracking lined up. Is he going to time the Hulk smash? Oh, doesn't quite get it. He does get it off the edge of the stairs. Not a smurf. That looked like for sure it missed, but Megaverse knows better, taking that kill, and G3 gets another squad wipe. Something to note about that fight, that was off of a third party. G3 just took 2 fights pretty much consecutively. And after something like that, the rest of the team looking at this kill feed has to have a bit of fear in their heart, Timmy.
I would be shaken for sure. That was so impressive. It wasn't just the fact that it was a third party. They had a third party and they got really worked early on in that third party. I think there was a Cam that went down very early on. They were able to reposition and revive that squad mate, and it was just so like I said earlier, it's poetry in motion to see the interaction between these really great squads coming through, being able to put one person up to take all the focus, put out the damage, and survive and buy some time while somebody else comes through to bring up the other opponent, then comes through to back up the cavalry whenever they need. And it's just so great to see. And then on top of that, being able to force that squad that initially came in with the third party apart to separate them like that, and then focus the ones that have been separated. It's just so methodical to watch these players play and to pull off those kind of strategies and to do it well. It's just gorgeous, and I love that I'm here watching this right now with y'all. But we're gonna get right into some action as Fluff and Nudes does find some enemies coming from the backside on top of this hill. We're gonna throw a nice little boulder out. Probably doesn't expect to hit anything. We're gonna throw out that pressure just to keep anybody that's at the backside back away until they make their way into the safe zone and set themselves up for this last final engagement plays.
Yeah, Fluff and Nudes has that legendary stone already on his wrist. That is a huge confidence booster for a stone shaper. You know that your damage takes a massive spike once you hit that legendary cap. Also has the flight rune double stack, so the mobility should get a bit of an assist from the rune charges, but we'll see what the rest of him and his FPS team can do to work this one out. 21 players still in the game, Timmy, so this is all still up in the air as far as I'm concerned. So many different teams have different ways that they can take this last victory, but the key is how the scores line up at the end. Remember that this is a qualifier, so players just need to get some good scores to bring themselves to the money. Speaking of money, we got Nudes going down, trying to hit these fireballs, can't quite get it to go. Going to reposition up top. You got to imagine he's going to look for a boulder from height. One of his teammates gets disrupted now. Fluff and Nudes is on the back foot, Timmy, and this looks like it really went south for FPS quickly.
Yeah, I think they got ahead of this squad. I think they were aware that they were coming in, and they got ahead, and it looked like they had perfect advantage, being able to come in, get on high ground. But it looks like Fluff and Nudes turns around to just find the team of Next to Lino just at the hills and ready to throw down. Both of those squad mates going down very quickly. He's trying to find a little bit of sanctuary to get away from this action and maybe survive long enough to come in and get those revives off. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We see the Next to Lino now looking really strong. All players pretty healthy and together here, making their way into the safe zone, but they are in a really interesting position. Halcyon's got a lot of loot. There's usually a lot of action. It looks like they're here actually to try to secure this final kill and wrap up this squad. That's why they're here. I didn't know exactly why they were lingering so far long, but it looks like they did hear that remaining opponent, and they want to go ahead and clean it up. And it looks like Borsalino's going to come through, and Chaos is taking out Southside Sandy. Borsalino taking out Insomniac Panda and Fluff and Nudes earlier. I don't think they got the... Oh, yeah, they got the third one. So that's going to be that full squad. Sleeper, Fluff and Nudes, and Insomniac Panda by the name of FPS will fall to Next to Lino as they go ahead and scoop up all the candy that they just got out of those pinatas that they just burst. And it looks like they're going to make their way in to this final zone really healthy and ready to throw down. Looking really good still in these lobbies.
Yeah, as we watch FPS lose in this last game, I want to give a huge shout out to them for showing up, playing so hard. Really great matches from that team. It's unfortunate that they couldn't get the first place finish in this game 6, but still GG's up to that team. Now we got to put our focus onto Nextelino_SB. They have a convincing position as they move forward here, looking for those damage ticks. Like you said earlier to me, Next is always just ticking off players, checking to see how much armor and HP they have, making calls for the rest of his team on decisions. Look at that beam from across the map. 2 ticks of lightning go, and Next is just going to keep on moving up. Throws a blind firewall, but now he is not blind when he's ripping those lightning bolts at this opponent flying through. Next is just so accurate with those bolts, breaking the armor of this opponent, going back to high ground here. And Nextelino_SB is looking just deadly in game 6, Timmy.
Oh my gosh, so much value coming out from this conduit, from this lightning gauntlet. He's able to just get so much information, and right now it's not even just about the information. He is just shredding armor bar after armor bar. Everyone in his vicinity, anybody that he can see, he's just shredding all their armor and bringing them down so close and so easy for this Stone Shaper, for this Toxicologist by Borsellino and Death to come in and just wrap it up and secure the last little bit of damage onto these already low opponents that's been zapped to death. Now making themselves really, really well focused here as they are putting damage out in every direction. It looks like they're confident enough to do that in the safe zone, not going to be pushed by the storm. All 3 players still very, very healthy, and they're just going from squad to squad to squad. I don't really see any particular squad that they're focusing on here. Now a little bit of focus here on the on this house over near the storm, and it looks like the squad is pretty much going to get pushed in from the spell storm. I think Nextelino kind of want to take advantage of here and try to pinch them into that storm, but you've got to be careful. Yes, they have them over there, but there's some other squad mates in the small circle, and they might come from behind. Looks like CL is going to be coming through and taking out Chaos from the game. G3, Chaos, and Cam falling to the hands of the CL players, and Borsellino taking out Cam there. It looks like Nextelino is really controlling this final circle very, very well here, plays.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Timmy, they just have no set target. They're picking off any fight they want, and this is just pure mechanics. But now we see, as I say that, Next just gets blown up by Cozy. Cozy's trying to represent his team here, get CL one last dub in game 6. Getting a nice exile or disrupt, I should say, onto Next, and now focusing on his next target, the 56 lands. Cozy just so deadly with the Frost and Death SB. Will fall to Miba, aka Flaming Wagon, off the name change. And look at this, Cozy's not done yet, always keeping his mind eye open, checking for potions and reses, getting a nice disrupt as it should fall. One more should go, but the opponent is just weaving, ducking, dodging out of the way. That is the end of Borsellino. CL taking a beautiful squad wipe onto what looked like the best team in game 6.
Wow, wow, wow. Definitely saw Nextelino. I saw them performing well. I saw them making it to the end. I saw them winning this lobby, but CL completely changed the future and took them out. And I got to say, things that I'm noticing about CL's play here is they have so much big burst damage with that nice little flick of the Frost Lance. You got the Toxic Slap with the Outbreak. You got the Frost Lance with such huge burst damage. You got Shockwaves from the outside. And when you get tagged by that kind of burst damage, especially if it's in conjunction with your teammates, it's going to be very difficult to recover from. And it looks like CL Cozy is in on the action, trying to put the pressure on as the Toxic Slaps come out to the feet of his opponents, trying to jump away here and trying to jostle from position. Kyrie Caitlyn does fall as CL Miba comes through with a nice little bit of damage and takes them out of the game. Cozy now jumping around to find the slap onto the other player. I think it's going to be Eureka that does fall to the slap coming out from Cozy, and Solar Bear with a fireball to help out as well as Calculated does fall. 3v1 as the final player remaining tries to run for their life as CL just focuses in and tries to secure this last little bit of exile, jumps inside to find this gamer hiding for his life, and Okappa does fall as Cozy comes through with the fourth exile and a big slap to the face plays. Oh my goodness.
CL with a beautiful win to take game 6. That is actually 3 victories for Team Colt Levin. So that's a really nice set from them. Although it does seem like G3 put themselves at the very forefront with score and damage, you have to give recognition to Team CL for what they've done here today. Some really beautiful Spellbreak coming from them. And with that, Timmy, that's the end of today's games. We still have to calculate the scores. Just stick around because we will pull those up on stream. But now that you've done your first trio event, Timmy, tell me how it was. Tell me something special about it.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I cannot get over the amount of squad play. Like I knew when I had a chance to cast a little bit with you before we ever went live that I seen some squad play coming through, and then it kind of like raised my eyebrow, like, oh, okay, there's a little bit more of a composition going here. There's more of clearly defined roles. But seeing this come out in this qualifier and seeing exactly how much thought goes in and how much depth there is to that squad play has blown me away. It makes me want to play squads more and learn more about how the interactions between everything goes. But really, really big shout out to all the players that came through and competed in the qualifiers today. Like PlaySafe said, the scores will be tallied and shown on screen soon. You can also go into the Discord, exclamation point Discord, and do exclamation point scores to get updates there. And it's also a really good place to be for future events. For instance, tomorrow we have the solos qualifier going to be started. Next week on Saturday, we have our second qualifiers for our trios. And then the week after that, we will be going into our finals and seeing exactly who's going to take home the dub for this trios tournament. And I'm really excited to see who it's going to be. G3, CL, WT, Kyrie Caitlin, so many great names. Next to Lino coming through and just showing you guys some high tier squad play. And I'm just blown away. I'm excited for the next one, plays.
Oh, for sure. And I also want to give some quick credit because we have been talking about those juggernaut teams all day for good reason, of course. They're topping score charts, they're topping these final circles. But give a shout out to Batata Bros right there. The last kill was Okappa. He managed to survive, fight his way to the final fight. It's hard to get away from Cozy when he's bloodthirsty, but shout out to that team, just like all the rest of these who have come today to participate in this event. It has been some excellent games. Scores should be up just shortly. And as you said, we saw some close fights. We saw some really great decision making from these teams. And as you said as well, it's my favorite thing about trios is the coordination. You can picture these teams making decisions, making these game plan calls, and it's really satisfying to see. We got another event, like you said, next week. But for now, we're just waiting to see the results here. I'm going to have to say that G3 likely took it. They had a pretty convincing lead in points, and they did not drop the effort at all on the back half.
No, definitely came through a little bit less aggressive there in maybe the fourth round, first one in EU. But once they felt like they got their bearings, they feel a little bit safer and comfortable on that region, on that ping. We definitely saw it get cranked back up to 11. The aggression came out. They were ready to throw down and just have some fun. And they were just here to play the game. And that's what they did. And they played it very, very well. And guys, yeah, like PlaySafe Seth, we have a lot of players there. I think it was Kappa that made it to the end, was the last survivor on their squad. If you're newer to the community, you're newer to the game, and you're part of this, and you're not, performing, getting first place every single time, you're still coming through. You're learning so much. You're getting such great experience against these players that have been playing for so long. And I can tell you from personal experience, I've seen people come through, play scrims every week, get in these qualifiers, get in this competitive scene, and just learn so much and progress. And after a few weeks, they go from being the first one exiled, getting 0 exiles, to being the one standing victoriously at the end of the final circle. So get in here, play some Spellbreak, learn from the best, and have a great time, because that's what we do here every time.
Yeah, some great points you raised right there, Timmy. Definitely always a good time coming out through Element. Make sure you join the Discord if you haven't already. And talking a little bit about the teams that we had playing today, we are just waiting for the score, so we're going to just have to break it down a little bit while we wait it out. But I wanted to talk to you about WT. We had No Ace Primo and Knack 3000 running that unit of 3. And I got to say, of course, I know they're great players, but they honestly surprised me with just how well they played as a trio. They were really taking fights against some of the best teams we have in Spellbreak and taking them convincingly. So big shout out to WT on their performance today.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of players need to realize is, like we were saying, there's a lot of new players. There's a lot of new gamers coming through, even playing on new consoles and new platforms, and they're playing against players that may have been playing a year or two, and they've been around for a long time. But that doesn't never mean that you can come through and offer something new to the community, new to the table, whether it be your individual skill coming through with a new build of talents or new class or new offhand, or it's your whole squad coming through and showing us a strategy that might help close the gap of those experienced players that might have a little bit of edge on you because they've been playing for longer, but you've come up with a strategy that might be able to counter that a little bit. And I see that coming out in these squads and these tournaments and these scrims, and I'm really interested to see what you guys have to offer if you're newer to the game, or even if you've been a long time playing, a veteran of the game. Just come through, and if you have an idea, see how far you can push it, because that's one thing about Spellbreak and competitive Spellbreak that I love to see is the depth that the game offers that we were surprised about that we didn't even know. So we'll see what happens. You guys come on out, play with us.
Yeah, 100%. And one other thing, if we're talking about what we love about the Spellbreak community, we're such a tight-knit community that we know it is Cam Sucks' birthday today. So happy 22nd. You had a really great showing today on the event. The birthday boy came out and clapped up some lobbies. Always really great to see from him. GG's to everybody else who played and also to everybody watching from home. We truly, truly appreciate the support, not just when it's monetary, just having you guys in the Discord, having you in the chat, being able to shoutcast with talent like you, Timmy. It's just a pleasure every week. We are ready to put the scores up, so let's see how it all turned out. Oh, sorry, one more minute. I got a little bit of a miscue right there. So we got another minute to talk about some of these teams. Anything else you want to add, Timmy?
I think that the action and the damage was just so much that we broke our supercomputer. We're bringing our next one out. Don't worry about it, guys. We're getting it all fixed. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on. And you guys that are used to playing on one particular region or something, you see some of these players come through that are normally playing on NA regions, and they go over here on the EU region. That second half of the qualifier, you guys, was all on EU. And it did not look that bad. Honestly, the latency was there, but honestly, these players still came through. We saw some incredible snipes. We saw incredible accuracy coming out from some conduit and even some great sorceries being placed. And these are players that are playing on 100, 150 ping, 200 ping. And so it's still there. So if you get into the mood and you might want to, dip into another part of our community, try out a different region sometimes. The latency is not that big of an issue. And honestly, being able to connect with those other communities and fill up those lobbies can be a lot of fun. So make sure you check out the Discord. I'm gonna say it one more time. I know I'm a broken record, but you guys, the more people we have in there, the more fun we can have. We already had a ton of people join tonight, so thank you guys for watching. Thanks for joining up in there. But make sure that you have some fun with Spellbreak, and we're gonna get right into these scores. I think we might be getting them tabulated shortly, and I'm really excited to see who's going to come out on top here. Plays. I think G3 is looking pretty safe, but is there any wild card predictions that you think might just show up?
I mean, two that could be in the pocket is Nexalino_SB. They had really great games on the back half, but also we got to talk about Colt Levin because they won that game 6 with good damage, good exiles, and they were already in second place. So they might have been able to jump up, but honestly, I'm not too sure about that one. I think G3 may have taken this one, but let's see for ourselves. Pull up the scores. Look at the results. Timmy, why don't you break it down that first, second, third, fourth, and fifth for us?
Oh, our guys on the very tippity top, the monsters of this qualifier kind of just went through aggressively and just popped off. 2,094 points belong to the team of G3. Shout out to those GGs coming through, taking that dub. And on second place, we got Nexalino. SB was at that fourth position there at halftime and managed to really, really put on a show, climb the ranks, and make their way all the way up to that second place with 1,750. In our third place coming in, Colt Levin, going to be taking those first 2 rounds of the qualifier tonight on NA and still performing well throughout the entire qualifier at 1,628, going to be third place, putting on a great show.
Yeah, what a fantastic event we've had here today. I want to remind everybody as well that although the first place goes to G3, and that is some beautiful bragging rights for that team, it's also important that this is a qualifying event. You are trying to get the highest possible score to have a chance at the finals, and all of these teams have had some really great performances. They should all be proud of their final score as they try to contest with the other teams. Remember, next week is qualifier number 2, and then the week after that is the finals, where $360 will be on the line on the finals. Thank you again. I think we can pull off that scorecard now. If you guys want to get a deeper look at the scores, make sure that you join the Discord. I think me and Timmy have said it 50, 60, maybe 70 times so far, but !Discord, go ahead and join. !Scores. Once you're in the Discord, we'll show you all of these different stats and placements. And I think with that, Timmy, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think the guys, we've had such a great time. Like Play Safe said earlier, it went by so quick, and that's usually a sign of a great time. I know I was having fun. I hope you guys did as well. Thanks for coming out to check out the qualifier. Make sure you join up in that Discord. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but the Discord is available for you all. And we're going to have more events coming up. Make sure you join us tomorrow for our solos qualifier. It's going to be a lot of fun, and maybe get involved with what's going on with the community. And if you're new to the Spellbreak community, welcome. If you have any questions, make sure you ask in the chat or ask in the Discord, and we'll do our best to answer your questions and get you involved with my favorite game on the internet.
Yeah, you got to say this is one of the best games. It is the best competitive scene. I will go ahead and say that, put my neck on the line right now. And also, I just got clarification. That's my apologies for the mistake. Those 5 teams automatically qualified. Those top 5 are now in the cash finals. No matter what the final score is, it just matters for the week matchup. So, congratulations to all 5 teams who managed to get themselves into the finals. Really a fantastic event from top to bottom. I couldn't have asked for a better co-caster today to join me. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Remember, we have solos tomorrow at the same time, so feel free to jump in for that if you want to see some more competitive Spellbreak action. And I think other than that, Timmy, we just got to send a raid and end the day.
All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. Make sure you have a lot of fun. We're going to send it over to the one, the only Solar Bear. So go show the love, blow up the chat, have a great time with Spellbreak. Get together with other players, join up in the Discord, and play some good times, man. We'll see y'all next time.